today in Brooklyn, Michigan. NASCAR's Roadshow is back in town. As we approach the halfway mark, it's been a season of shocks and surprises. Surprise, Mark Martin is leading in the race for the national championship. Shock, who would have expected Darrell Waltrip and Bill Elliott to be winless this year? You know they're starting to feel the pressure. When will you win again? Will today be the day? Those same questions apply to Dale Earnhardt, caught in the midst of a surprising slump. Will today be his day? For those with confidence, for those with doubt, the answers are about to unfold as CBS Sports presents the Michigan 400. At long last, the sun has broken through, and there will be racing today. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Economaki, and if I sound excited about the weather, believe me, I am. It rained all day Friday. It rained most of yesterday. It washed out qualifying. It washed out all but 30 minutes of practice. And practice is the key to a driver's daring do on this track. This black book with 28 years of racing secrets in it about how to set up cars belongs to Harry Hyde, Bobby Hillon's crew chief. Bobby, or Harry, what is the key to winning here?
Key to winning here is for a car to stay good and stable all day. The thing that we're looking at now is a very short practice session with a cold track, a very fast track, and the sun broke out today. The hotter this asphalt gets, the more, the slicker the track's going to get, the slower the field's going to get. So a lot of guys missed it, some guys got it. But there'll be some disappointments today, and there'll be some guys happy.
You're saying the first few laps are really going to be practice, not racing?
I think we'll be practicing for about 20 laps, Chris.
Okay, thanks very much. And now let's go down to pit road and Mike Joy with a man who has had the key to this track many times.
Well, thank you, Chris. The reason Harry picked that 20-lap figure is NASCAR has said, due to limited practice, they will put out a caution flag between lap 18 and 20 of this race so the teams could come in, check their race day setup, and make adjustments. I'm with the man who has the best winning percentage here. Bill Elliott's won 7 times on this racetrack, but in 3 years, including last year, you've come here looking for that key to victory lane for the first time of the season and found it. Is this, how's that saying go, deja vu all over again?
Well, we hope so. You know, this racetrack's been always good to me, and I just hope it is today. We're looking for a lot of different things with the limited amount of practice, what we had, so it ought to be an interesting race.
What could you learn in just half an hour of practice?
Well, not a lot because of the way the track conditions were yesterday versus it's sunny and warmer today. And there'll be a lot of people, I'm sure, scrambling for changes, and it'll be an interesting race.
Okay, good luck, Bill. While Bill's looking for his first win of the season, one driver that's had a lot of success so far is with my colleague, Dave Despain.
And Rusty Wallace's team has a tremendous track record here. Consider that Barry Dodson has been on the winning crew 4 times. Harold Elliott has built 6 winning engines here at Michigan. That gives Rusty Wallace a lot of confidence. And you guys came right off the truck ready to go. You didn't much care if you practiced or not.
Well, not really. I mean, I hope it works out for us. This is the same car we won with here last time, and it's the same exact chassis as we used both races last year. So with Harold's engine and Barry's pit stops and hopefully a little good luck, I think the car ought to handle fine.
2 wins in 4 races here gives you a lot of confidence. I want to know about strategy. Are you conservative early and save it for the end?
Well, not really, because they're going to have a caution flag 20 laps in the race because there was no practice early to give the teams a chance to look at what's going on. So I'm going to run pretty hard to start and try to lead this thing, get a couple bonus points.
Good luck, Rusty Wallace. Back to Mike Joy, who's with the unusual combination on the outside of the front row.
And that way, because they're second in points, they've led the points already this year, Dave Despain. Morgan Shepherd is the driver. He's been a journeyman throughout his career. He's driven for as many as 7 car owners in 1 year. Bud Moore is the car owner. He's had young talents like Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt propelled them along. Everybody said you two were so set in your ways this would never work. But Morgan, what a great season so far. What's the chemistry?
Well, the chemistry is just there. Bud and I work well together. All the guys, we just pull together as a real team. And, you know, if you don't have a good relationship, things are just not going to work, and it's working for us.
Bud, why does this combination work so well?
Well, as you know, Morgan's a fine race driver. He knows what he wants in a race car, and we've been in the race business so long, you know, and we know how to fix a race car in this part. And the chemistry just works real well, and Morgan, we all work real well together, and it's come together real good for us, and we're looking forward to winning some races before the year's out.
Well, they're the best of the old guard. Let's go to Dave Despain with one of the up-and-coming young Lions.
The first time Ernie Irvan drove this race car, he started 30th and finished 3rd at Atlanta, and the owner was so impressed he gave him a 5-year contract. Are you planning another charge like that here today?
Well, we hope not to fall short. We're running awful good in practice, and we really feel that this car is capable of winning the race, and we feel awful good about our chances today.
Nobody's ever won this thing in 41 races from further back than 10th spot. You could make history today. How confident are you?
Well, I'd make history because it'd be our first win, too. So this Kodak Films Delco Remy Oldsmobile should go to the front. I think I'm going to take it there.
He'll take that in-car camera along with him. Should be quite a ride, so stay tuned. Now let's meet the man who will call the action today. High atop Michigan International Speedway, Ken Squire.
Well, thank you, David. Great to be with you here. After all this variable weather over the past 48 hours, here are some things you can hang your hat on. 40 drivers are ready to compete for some $680,000. And on this particular racetrack, that's the whole story. The track itself, as they get ready to go before some 51,000 race fans. This track is so very special. It's so wide. You can pass anywhere on it. And the transitions off the corners so letter perfect that one would think that it would be a track where Brain and Braun and youngsters could come through and get themselves a victory. Wrong. Experience shows that experience wins here. Over the past 21 years, 6 Cale Yarborough, 4 times David Pearson, 2 times Bobby Allison, 4 times including last year Bill Elliott. And the single-time winners on this track include Petty and Parsons and Baker and Wallace and Earnhardt. And it all speaks to the fact that it takes a virtuoso performance by a master to win at Michigan, which begs the question of my colleague and our analyst, the best, Ned Jarrett. How come?
Ken, this is a driver's racetrack. You know, people talk about which plays the most important role, the driver, the car, or the team. Well, it depends on which racetrack you're on. But on this racetrack, the driver plays a major role because of the lesser banking into the turns. They have to decelerate going into the turns. It takes a lot of finesse. Drafting comes into play here, so that's why it favors the veterans. Now, certainly, I think we'll see some of the youngsters running up front, especially in the first half of this race, because there's some very fast cars back there. But as the race goes on, I think the veterans will prevail because the groove changes. There's one place on a racetrack that you can run faster than anywhere else, and it changes during the race. The veterans know how to seek that groove out, adjust their cars and their driving styles accordingly. That's why they're strong at the end of the race. But the fact that they got only about 30 minutes of practice when they had 7.5 hours of practice scheduled on Friday and Saturday might make a big difference here too, because as Harry Hyde says, many of them perhaps missed the setup, many of them hit it, and if one of the youngsters hit it, just might be his day to break the tradition here.
Well, a writer last year at the end of this event wrote that Bill Elliott's face in victory lane was as red as his car, and the second-place man, Rusty Wallace, had his throttle foot in a bucket of ice water when it was over. And that's the kind of race that we anticipate today with our live coverage at Michigan.
This CBS
Vice President of Marketing, ready to fire him up at Michigan.
Start your engine.
Largest infield crowd in history. 51,000 seats sold out. 40 drivers at the ready. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race. On the pole, by virtue of leading the NASCAR points with qualifying rained out, Mark Martin and Morgan Shepherd, looking for his first win since '86, starts outside. Row number 2 today, Rusty Wallace, the '88 champion, and Jeff Bodine, who won at Martinsville earlier this year. For row 3, it'll be Dale Earnhardt, the '87 champion. He hasn't finished in the top 10 of the last 4 races, and Kyle Petty, who won the Biggie over at Rockingham. Going to row number 4, there you have Ken Schrader looking for his 3rd career win this afternoon, and Bill Elliott, who broke losing streaks 3 times on this track. Can he do it again today? Moving back to row 5, Darrell Waltrip still looking for his first win in 1990, and beside him, the winner at Bristol, Davey Allison, looked strong yesterday. In row 6, 4 top 10 efforts in the last 5 starts for Ernie Irvan and Brett Bodine, who had his first win at North Wilkesboro earlier this season. Row 7, it'll be Ricky Rudd, hoping to give Rick Hendrick his first 1990 victory, and with him, Sterling Marlin. Going to row number 8, Dick Trickle is there. Remember, Dick Trickle won a race here back in 1982, an ASA event. And with him comes Michael Waltrip, who just gets stronger in every race for that Billy Engle crewed team. Going to row 9, Terry Labonte, the 1984 Winston Cup champion. And beside him, the number 10, that would be Derek Cope, who surprised the racing world with that win at Daytona and then proved he could do it. Came right back and won at Dover, Delaware in the Monster Mile. Going to row 10, Harry Gant, who is now the oldest driver, number 33, to win in Winston Cup racing, 50 years plus 157 days. And with him comes car number 8, Bobby Hillen, the young Texas, whose best finish here was 6 back in 1987. Going to row 11, Jimmy Spencer, Mr. Excitement, making his 3rd start on the Michigan track, and Dave Marcus, who's been here for every event in this Michigan 400 series. For row 12, Butch Miller, home statesman, ready to go. The Travis Carter car, number 98. And Alan Kowicki, who has yet to finish in the top 5 in a nightmarish season for car number 7. Row 13 is Hut Strickland, scored his best finish on this track a year ago. And Dale Jarrett, we'll be watching him. He's driving the Wood Brothers number 21 today, the car that's done more winning on this track than any other. In row 14 is Rick Wilson out of Florida, finished 6th here a year back, and with him comes Troy Beebe, young driver, 28 years old, in car 2 from Modesto, California. In row 15, car number 29, the 74 champion, the King, making his 22nd straight start in this race, Richard Petty, and alongside a 15-year veteran from Huntsville, Alabama, Jimmy Means. Going to row 16, Jack Pennington, the Georgia dirt track champ, blew an engine yesterday, ready to go. Greg Sachs, 4th member of the Hendrick team. And then in row 17, Eddie Bierschwale, making his first start since Daytona in the 500. And Robbie Moroso, the leading rookie in car number 20. In row 18, it's Lake Speed, the former winner at Darlington, and Phil Parsons with a brand new team today in car number 29. In the 19th row, it's J.D. McDuffie. He's back from Sanford, North Carolina, has 4 top 10 finishes on this track. And with him comes Bill Venturini, who was so seriously injured here a year ago out of Chicago. Finally, it's Eddie Cooper, a 43-year-old rookie, on the inside, the 39th position, row 20. And outside comes Rodney Coombs, the short track artist, with his 8th start here at Michigan. There's your starting field. Here's the qualifying criteria for this race. First 30 position by car owner points, and then is the earliest postmark. There's 2 or 3 other stipulations in there that were not needed for today's race. That gave us our 40 starters. Gibbs, Blotzbach, Vogler, and Ken Reagan had to go home. 100 miles on this D-shaped 2-mile oval. Let's go to the pits for Mike Joy's report.
Ken, a guessing game with limited practice. Most of these teams will run a 1,400-pound spring on the left front, 1,800 on the right front, and either 325, 350 across the back, or 350 straight across. Rear end gear, 356-to-1 ratio by most teams. Some are going for a little more jump off the corner with a 364. That's only 8 points, but it can mean a 200 RPM difference at the end of the straightaway, and that could grenade some engines. So a lot of guessing. They won't be able to change springs on the pit stops, but they can add spacers and make minute adjustments as the day goes on. But for many of these teams, the die is pretty well cast how they'll run today. Here's Dave Despain.
On this unusual weekend in Michigan, both cars on the front row changed engines this morning. Mark Martin had planned an engine change after final practice, ran out of time yesterday, had to do it today. Yesterday, Greg Moore told me that the worst fear that any team has about no practice is the possibility of a leak. They wanted to get 5 laps on the racetrack anyway in case the motor leaked. They ran about 5 laps yesterday, and sure enough, the rear seal leaked, and this morning they had to pull that engine out and put a fresh one in. Both cars on the front row will go with fresh engines, and they're looking for a green flag. Let's go to Ken Squire.
Coming out of turn number 4. Audio report from Chris Economaki.
Where I'm sitting, a stiff wind is blowing almost through me. The flags are standing straight out. It's hitting the cars at the middle of the backstretch, pushing them off the track. It's going to be tough for the drivers with this wind, Ken.
Atlanta was the last time they lined up in this manner when they rained out qualifying there. Mark Martin was then 17th in the standings. Started 17th today. He's up in front on the point with the Roush cars. They widened it out to 3 and 4 deep into turn number 1, and it's on. Live on CBS, the Michigan 400. Back straightaway, Martin just pulling away by 7 car lengths. And here comes Sachs, busting out of the back of the pack in the Hendrick car, trying to scoot through some traffic. Knocking it out, coming around Butch Miller. He's already gone around Richard Petty. And you see others closing as well. Here's Dave Marcus just in front of him.
And look up front here, too. Dale Earnhardt trying to make a move. They're 3 abreast down the front straightaway for second place. But Mark Martin did lead the first lap again, and that gives him the 5 bonus points that all of those point chasers are interested in getting.
And Morgan Shepherd was all the way on the bottom of the track. That number 15 car handling well as he continues to move up through. He currently showing in 4th as they slide him around in front. Only 4 men have won from the pole. Allison in 71, Parsons in 80, and Bill Elliott 84 and 85.
And that's leading into turn 3. And here's Mark Martin still able to pull away a little bit, Ken, but Dale Earnhardt now has broken away into a solid second place there. Now it'll be interesting to see what he can do.
And is drafting with Morgan Shepherd, who comes to 3rd.
And certainly if they get in single file as they're running now from second back through about 10th place, that will help them maybe to catch up to Mark Martin.
There you see Schrader in the white car in 4th, and Kyle Petty is running 5th. Kyle losing his sponsor at the end of the season. That's a big announcement that they've Felix Sabates lost his sponsor so early in the season.
At least it was early enough that they can look for a new one.
Harry Gant has moved from 19th to 13th in the first 2 laps. Still traveling quickly out of the back of the pack comes Sachs. He's on a roll. Look at.
We see this yellow car here. That's Ernie Irvan. He started 11th. He's now running in 8th place. That car was very fast here yesterday in the limited practice they had.
Working lap 4. And Mark Martin trying to blitz this field. Further back in the field, here you see Davey Allison, who was one of the fastest cars yesterday, working right alongside Ernie Irvan. They plummet down the back straightaway in a battle for 8th, just in front. Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott in there. Meanwhile, look at this interval between 1st and 2nd. The Jack Roush Ford in 1st, the Childress Chevrolet in 2nd.
And that's a little surprising that he has been able to pull away that much. In fact, it is now about 3/4 of a second.
They ran 9 laps of practice on that car number 6 yesterday and made 4 chassis changes. That's all they ran.
Well, of course, most of them have one of those black books like Chris was using of Harry Hyde's. Know how they've set the cars up in the past. Temperature a little cooler here today than they normally run in June, which can make a difference in chassis setup and the way the engines run. But I still think this track will change during the race. The groove will change. It's very tight right now.
A very determined Mark Martin. And we also see Shepherd making a run to the inside, trying to move under the black car, number 3, the Chevy. 169 mile an hour average on a green track. That's not bad.
Martin lengthened his lead to about 9/10 of a second, so he picked up about 15/100 of a second that time.
From Mark Martin's viewpoint, that's what he sees in his rearview mirror as he looks out back and sees Earnhardt right there in that Chevy in 2nd. Morgan Shepherd's 4th, 3rd, Ken Schrader in 4th, Kyle Petty 5th, Jeff Bodine 6th. Here's Richard Petty's car number 43 closing up on car number 21. The Wood Brothers car.
Boy, how many times over the years have we seen the 21 and 43 racing when David Pearson was driving the 21 car? See Bill Elliott was down on the inside of Ernie Irvan trying to make a move.
Battle back in 9th. There's that leader. The Roush car. And look at this advantage as you see the interval here, how much he has drawn away. That's amazing.
It really is, Ken. Evidently, they had the right setup on that car number 6 of Mark Martin.
7 laps complete this time, Bob.
He has stretched it to a 2.5 seconds now. Of course, as long as they're racing back there for position, that helps the leader. Here's Greg Sachs. We expected him to come up through the field. He currently is running 25th. He started in 32nd position, so he has picked up 7 positions.
And further back in the field, watch them sorting out. Michael Waltrip is coming around, getting out of that. Here is the Rick Wilson, number 75. Sachs attacking on him up in turns 3 and 4. Leaders out of 4. That is some impressive run by Mark Martin. Morgan Shepherd's car giving us a view of this tight battle a little further back in the field. Bodine in there, the 11 car running in the 5th spot. Dicing Schrader in there. That struggle continuing just behind the 2 leaders, Martin and Earnhardt.
And look at him pull up on him on the straightaway, Ken. That's the effect of the draft here. And also able to pull up on him in the turns, too. He's going to try him on the outside. Well, he thinks better of that. Maybe it's not the time to do that. Earnhardt's car maybe not working quite as well as he would like. You can see it moving around a little bit as he came off the turn.
Expect a caution again at lap 20. With a limited amount of practice, they're going to give all the crews the opportunity to come in here and check out their equipment. I would presume, as we watch again, Shepherd trying the outside as he works out of turn 2 on Dale Earnhardt in number 3.
Well, Earnhardt certainly gives him plenty of room. Boy, Earnhardt goes all the way to the wall, and Shepherd dipped down to try to get on the inside coming off the turn. He might be able to make the pass.
Battle for second. Still side by side, and Earnhardt going into 3. Just dives in there and holds that spot. Schrader brings the Chevy number 25 to the inside of the Ford number 15. There's the battle for third.
Jeff Bodine right behind him, so if they race side by side, that certainly will help Dale Earnhardt a little bit. That's the Ernie Irvan car that we're watching there at the rear view of Morgan Shepherd.
Schrader down to the inside in the white number 25, running side by side with Morgan Shepherd. This is for third.
And Shepherd had the momentum coming off the turn, so he was able to hold on to the position, picked up the draft of Earnhardt, and now pulls right up on him going into turn 1. Or turn 3, that is.
Look at the advantage. And remember, it all goes away with this mandatory pit stop coming up. How do you feel about that?
Well, certainly these fellows back here are not too worried about Mark Martin pulling away right now. They're anxious for that caution to come out so they can get in and make adjustments to their cars. However, I feel that Earnhardt is holding up some of those cars behind him, so they could probably gain a little bit on the car number 6 if they could get by Earnhardt.
To Mike Joy.
May not be worried, Ken, but one fellow who's happy is Steve Emile, and he's Mark Martin's team manager. What did you fellas find that you're out there well out in front of the field?
Well, we got a real good break, Mike. We started on the pole because it's leading the Winston Cup points chase. We just got a clear track in front of us. Mark says the car is comfortably loose. He wants to leave it like that. If we get a caution, you know, we get caught in traffic, somebody else will lead. It always happens at Michigan. There'll be a rabbit and there'll be a bunch of tortoises behind trying to keep up. Long way to go yet.
Right now, they're the rabbits.
And those are not exactly tortoises back behind there. They're running at a pretty good clip. He's just running better.
Kyle Petty is backed up. He was in 5th, now back to 14th. Michigan International Speedway after 12 laps. And we'll be back with more of CBS Sports coverage of the Michigan 400 after this word from your local station. Michigan International Speedway, the interval from 1st to 2nd. Mark Martin to Earnhardt stands at 1 and 9/10 seconds. And then there you see it. 2nd to 14th, 1.5 seconds.
And as they race back there for those positions, that allows Martin just to pull away from them. Earnhardt manages to hold on to 2nd. Now here's Greg Sachs. We were watching him early in the race. He started back in 32nd position. We expected him to come back up through the field, and he is, Ken.
Up to 23rd now and closing. Do you think everybody is showing everything, or are they waiting for that caution at 20?
Well, you know, they would like to get track position, pass as many cars as they possibly can, so when they make their pit stops that they'll be as far up front as possible. But they don't want to take any unnecessary chances here in this first 20 laps, so they'll just sort of sit there and ride, especially if their cars are not handling too well.
16 laps are now complete. There you see the number 3, Earnhardt in 2nd, Shepherd in 3rd, Schrader in 4th, Bill Elliott right there in 5th, Morgan Shepherd back to 6th. And look at that interval. That's the story right now. Here's the 89, the Combs car, the Evinrude car on pit road.
Certainly this is an unscheduled pit stop. He couldn't make it to that caution that's going to come out here. They've got the hood up on the car. Too bad for Rodney Combs.
Sachs continuing to close on this flock of cars, running from second back into the 14th position. Here's Schrader bringing one of the Hendrick cars underneath the Childress number 3, and Bill Elliott lurking back there in number 9.
Yeah, Elliott's gradually working his way to the front, Ken. He's strong. Look at him move on the outside of Schrader. He picks up the draft of Dale Earnhardt, moves right on by Ken Schrader. There was nothing Schrader could do about it.
Looks like Davey Allison's on the move, too. Here's Chris.
Jack Roush tells us that he's going to put 4 tires on the car and fill it up with fuel with that mandatory yellow wave. So there's 39 drivers out there waiting for the yellow and one that isn't. Mark Martin, the leader.
Back to the stripe, and Elliott's the man on the move in the 9 car down to the bottom. Bill Elliott challenging Earnhardt for second position. This in lap 19.
He's showing the form that has certainly got him a lot of wins here. Look at him move on the inside of Earnhardt. Morgan Shepherd tried that a number of times and couldn't do it, Ken. Bill Elliott looks like he's going to be able to make the pass.
And with him comes Schrader.
The Schrader might have to back off going into the turn. Look how close they come getting into the turn. Earnhardt's going to try and back on the inside as Elliott drifts a little high. Here comes Schrader down on the inside. And we're watching out the windshield of Morgan Shepherd as he sees that battle.
19 laps complete. We anticipate that caution flag next time by. From Morgan Shepherd's viewpoint, you're riding into turns 1 and 2. Whoa, Schrader forcing Shepherd way high, and he lost some ground. There goes Ernie Irvan diving down to the inside. Rusty Wallace coming with him.
Boy, that cost him a number of positions there. But, again, he had no choice but just to back out and try to pick up whatever position he could get.
Ford's taking over first and second. Caution coming out of the speedway. Yellow coming down. Yellow coming out as the field comes out of turn 4. And this is a mandatory caution demanded by NASCAR as we had such limited time for practice. And you had to split that practice time in 2. They let out the odds and then the evens here. So it really got down to about 35 or 40 minutes maximum. Trying this track out.
Many cars didn't get over 6 or 8 laps of practice. I think this is a good move by NASCAR. It's a safety move so that they can, that now they've had a chance to feel the cars out and can come in and make adjustments on them. They'll change tires. That car right there, Mark Martin, doesn't need much. And as a report we heard from the pits, they don't plan to do a great deal other than put 4 tires and some gas in it.
Be risky to over-massage one at this point that's running like this number 6 car.
Oh, yes.
There you see Martin and Bill Elliott.
The pace car has them in tow, Ken, so the pit road should be open when they come around this time. When a caution comes out in NASCAR competition, the pit road is closed until the pace car picks them up. But the pace car has picked them up, and you can see it there on the left of your screen. So the pit road should be open, and we'll see, I think, just practically every car on the track come in. Yes, there's the green flag waving now, signifying that they can come into the pits without penalty.
And the Jack Roush team will have accomplished in a couple of years what some teams dream of doing a lifetime. Leads the field down. This should be a very quick stop. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Coming down the pit lane, Mark Martin, the race leader, is the first one in, and he will get just gas, perhaps tires, and go. Some teams may gamble and take on just 2. The leader is taking all 4 tires. That'll set the tone. You're watching Rusty Wallace' crew swing into action. Rusty's got a little red paint on that left front tire. He scraped it up against someone, and they're going to put 4 tires on his Pontiac. He's been running well, and see the bolt being turned on that right rear by Todd Perry. That will give Rusty a little more wedge across the back of the car and perhaps tighten it up a bit. Dale Earnhardt's already gone. Bill Elliott, Mark Martin, and now Rusty Wallace finds his way in. Fairly late stop.
Martin out. You don't want to waste any time under caution because track position is so important these days.
Ken, it has become more important in recent races than I can ever remember. There are so many cars that are running so equal nowadays that it's tough to pass them. And so the farther up front you can get on a pit stop, the better you are.
J.D. McDuffie's car staying on the track. Back straightaway.
Now we saw at the windshield of Mark Martin there, we see his car from from one of the Hauer cameras. Up in front of him was Harry Gant. Gant was one of the first ones to get back on track. I think he only took on 2 tires. Here's the rookie driver, Pennington.
Jack Pennington having trouble again, lost an engine yesterday. But as things shake out, they come up behind the pace car again. There's still a couple of cars that have not pitted. One of them is JD.
And I believe they're coming into the pits now, so that'll put Harry Gant into the lead in the car number 33, and he was the first of the front runners to get out of the pits.
And remember that he nearly won this race 3 years ago. Let's take a look at the total standings after 20 laps for you fans interested in some of the runners further back in the field. 2-mile track, 400 miles the distance.
Now, of course, this was before the caution came out. The caution came out on the 20th lap. And they were given the signal that time around, Ken, one more lap, and we'll go back to green flag racing.
Coming into this race, Chevy has picked up 5 wins, 3 by Earnhardt, the man in black, number 3, and 2 by Derek Cope. What a job he's done for them. And of course, he's done them on borrowed engines from the Hendrick stable. The Hendrick team is what? For more than 40 races this year with all their combined talents, but their engines continue to win in the Bob Whitcomb car.
Well, you say borrowed engines. I think those are rented engines.
Leased engines.
Yeah, right.
And then Ford has 3 wins, Pontiac 3, Oldsmobile picked up a victory last week with Harry Gant, their first of the season, and Buick has 1 victory this year. Here's Mike.
Well, let's see how Harry does with this race strategy by car owner Leo Jackson. Ken, they did just take on 2 tires, right side tires. Gant felt the car was working well enough that it was worth the risk. Those lefts only have 20 racing miles on there, and we'll see when the green drops if Gant's car drifts back in the pack because he doesn't have a full set of fresh rubber like the rest of the contenders.
Be interesting to see how Gant holds up against the charge that's going to come from that number 6 car that looks so tough. Well, there you see the Goodyear Blimp America out of Spring, Texas. Pilot for the Goodyear Blimp America, John Moran, and he has his hands full on a windy day like this, California lad.
Yes, it does, but fortunately the sun is shining, and we're about ready to go back to green flag racing.
Pace car is in. Green is out. The new chief starter from NASCAR. Harold Kinder retiring. Doyle Ford puts him back in action. 23 laps officially complete as we go back green. And Gant is number 33, who had a wild weekend in Pocono, Pennsylvania before winning last week. And here's the number 6 car that runs in second behind Gant, followed by the number 3. You see Earnhardt, followed by Elliott in the 9 car in 4th.
And look in 5th place. That's Strickland. Having a great run here in the Bobby Allison Motorsports car.
And had a great run here a year ago. And there's Davey Allison on the charge, followed by Brett Bodine in the 11. Rusty Wallace. Let's take a look at the top 5 as they went into the pits and how they came out of it after this mandatory pit stop. For the caution, Martin was leading. Now he is in second to Harry Gant. Gant gained the big ground here as he only took on 2 tires.
Schrader's the guy that lost. He came in running 4th and went out running 12th. But Gant now being passed has already been passed by Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt trying to move him around, and Ken, evidently those left side tires having 20 laps or 40 miles on them. Maybe it's taking its toll here.
And that Hunt Strickland, that red car number 12 just behind Elliott, he was a big gainer on that pit stop. He came in 26 and he came out in 5th. That had to be a 2-tire stop.
Evidently, yes. But it seems to be working okay. His car's working fine, still running in the 5th position.
So once again, it is Mark Martin leaping out in front of this field. And there you see the Strickland car number 12. As we pointed out earlier, he had a great finish here a year ago. Here's Dave Despain.
Tires have been the nemesis of Bill Elliott in the last 3 races. He's had 11 flats. These 4 tires just came off Elliott's car, and the team says they are perfect. The tire temperatures that they ride on when they come off range from 190 to 210 degrees, and Elliott says this car is just right. That's why he's made such great progress out there during that first green flag run.
And let's remember, as we watch number 9, Elliott, he is never in a great hurry to get up to the front in these races. At Michigan, he historically has been in the hunt to midway, the three-quarter mark, then he goes home.
Ken, I think that's an indication that his Ford number 9 is really working good today. He's not having to push it that much, but yet able to move on up towards the front.
The number 9, that red Ford, is running in fourth. Gant is in third. Now you're inside Ernie Irvin's car. A little further back, Davey Allison just in front on the bottom of the racetrack, and up high is Rusty Wallace. And around the outside goes Ernie Irvin.
Many of them still searching for a groove that'll work well for the particular chassis setup they have under their car.
Irvin in 7th.
And look at him pick up on Rusty Wallace as they came off the turn, going down the straightaway into turn 3. Of course, they have to decelerate going into that turn. Most of them are dipping down pretty low going into that turn.
His crew chief, Tony Glover, was telling me this morning, I said, how do you feel about him as a driver? He said, I think of all the new drivers, this is the finest new talent in NASCAR since Tim Richmond.
He has a lot of talent.
Here's Chris.
Okay, Jack Roush had a change of heart when Mark Martin made his pit stop. He loosened up the car setting so it'd be more stagger and make the car looser. Hey, Rod Combs, the first man out of the race. How's the track, and what about the wind?
The wind is not bothering us. The track was super. We was a little tight, but I'll tell you, if we'd have made some adjustments, we went from 40th to almost 30th, was catching Rob Monroe, Soak Lake Speed, and a bunch of good cars. So the track is really good. If anything, it's tight for a lot of people. But, you know, I just want to thank Evan Root and Keith Thornton for the motor, but the long cylinder, and, you know, we're going to come back and show them we can still go to the front.
Better luck next time. I've been spending a lot of time in Australia and he's back in this country now. Back to you, Ken.
Watching further back in the field, car number 4. Here's Ernie Irvin, who is clinking him off now. Moves under Hut Strickland as he comes up to 5th. Closes on Bill Elliott, running in 4th. Ernie Irvin's on a roll. Our live coverage of the Michigan 400 here on CBS. Running in the top 5 positions with now 33 laps complete of 200, the distance 400 miles in the Michigan 400, 22nd annual edition. And Mark Martin continues to make mincemeat out of the field. He draws away once again, building a healthy advantage over the second place runner, Dale Earnhardt. There's Martin. Now looking further back, here you see Morgan Shepherd. He has fallen back into the 15th position. Shepherd, that's 17th now, battling with Sachs in car 18. He's rolled back. Remember that Shepherd had finished in the top 10 in the first 11 races this year, which was an all-time record. But things aren't going quite as well at this moment. 35 consecutive top 10 finishes. Buck Baker had those, 56 and 57 back just before your day, Nick.
Yeah, that was before my time.
Yes.
But that's a remarkable record. Buck Baker will be going into the International Motorsports Hall of Fame on July 25th, Birmingham, Alabama. First induction of 20.
Better save a seat for Mark Martin the way he's running. Here's 33 Gant. Remember that he is in that 3rd spot.
And, you know, he passed Bill Elliott back. Elliott had passed him at one time, but now Gant has passed him back. Lake Speed having a problem. He's in pits.
So it's 2nd spot for 33, 3rd for number 9. Laps down. And look at this Mark Martin, victorious earlier this year at Richmond. Controversial finish there. Tear down activity afterward that cost them a lot of money. They did not take his number down. It stood. There's the 15 car running somewhat off the pace. Lake Speed is pitting car number 83 at this moment. Leaders hurtling down through turns 3 and 4. Martin, phenomenal.
Here's Ernie Irvin down on the inside of Hut Strickland once again. He's been trying to make that pass for about 10 laps and just can't quite do it. Davey Allison doing a little drafting on his buddy Hut Strickland there to try to keep him out in front of Ernie, and by golly, it works.
That's for 5th.
Davey had to back off, though. He couldn't follow Hut on through going into the turn, but here comes Irvin once again. You can see him inside, the concentration he has, and how hard he's driving that Oldsmobile.
35
Moving down to the inside, Davey Allison pulls up to challenge Ernie Irvan. Dave Despain.
Mixed fortunes down on the turn 4 end of pit road here in the number 52 of Jimmy Means. Well, they're packing up shop. They've blown the motor, and they're out of here for this afternoon. In contrast, Tony Glover, the crew chief with the number 4 of Ernie Irvan's, got to be pleased. What did you guys change on that car during the pit stop?
Well, we took a little wedge out of it and added a little tire sticker. He said the car was just a little bit tight at the start of the race, but we're gaining on. I think we'll be in good shape before the race is over.
How fast do you feel you need to get to the front?
Well, you know, it's a long race, and you got pretty much time, so I'd say we need to get to the front before halfway.
Patience is the name of the game right now for Tony Glover and his driver, Ernie Irvan. Ken?
Tony Glover out of a great racing family. Dad, former national champion. And with that car number 4, they're beginning to make some magic. Well, there it is. It's a repeat of that initial start after this mandatory caution as Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt set sail.
And Harry Gant still running very strong with just 2 new tires on his car, running in 3rd place for Bill Elliott. There's Earnhardt in 2nd. Bill Elliott running in 4th place now.
Hut Strickland and Ernie Irvan right behind them. Chris?
I'm sitting with Jimmy Means, who's also out of the competition. Jimmy, you're one of the few drivers that owns his own car. There's some people feel that owner drivers don't race as hard as hirelings because they're so concerned with the part of the equipment. Is that an honest observation?
Well, you know, sometimes it may look that way, but the competition the way it is now, you can't hold back any. We run our car as hard as we'll go every time we're on the racetrack. You know. The Alka-Seltzer Pontiac, you know, I guess we lost the head gasket today. We missed on our tune-up with a cool air like it is. We just kind of pissed.
Well, you got the sponsor's car that can fix your headache. Better luck next time, Jimmy.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, Jimmy Means, one of the owner drivers, one of the few in the race, out of the race. Back to you, Ken.
Best finish here had been a 14th. Watching his struggle, Bill Elliott putting on a great show here, and Strickland really running well, but loose there in that car number 12.
He was loose coming off that turn. He picked up the draft of Elliott as he started off that turn, made his car a little bit loose, but he knows that Ernie Irvan's back there working on him. There's someone trying to get a picture of all of that. Elliott's car perhaps not handling quite as well as it did earlier. Here's Ernie Irvan trying to go down on the inside of Hut Strickland once again. Now we think that Strickland only got 2 tires as well. That gave him the good track position. Here's Davey Allison now making a move down on the inside of Ernie Irvan, but can he make it stick? Nope, not quite.
In 7th spot, Davey Allison working on Ernie Irvan, who has now come to 6. Hut Strickland just in front and 5th as that struggle continues further back in the field. What a great shot. Watching Davey Allison and Robert Yates' team down there working the bottom side of this racetrack. And that comment that you made at the top of the program about how you really have to read this track and it read changes. Is it changing already?
The groove perhaps is beginning to change a little bit. We see some cars that are running very low on the track. Some of them are beginning to drift up into the 2nd groove. That depends a great deal at this point of the race on how the chassis is set up on the car. The last half of the race is when it really makes a big change. When the track gets hotter, you get a lot of oil and grease and water and rubber on the track.
Battle for 6. Looking back at Elliott. Right behind them in 8th is Rusty Wallace. And then comes Jeff Bodine. And back in 11th, Darrell Waltrip begins to roll again.
Dale Earnhardt, Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, but the driver in 5th place, car number 12, Bobby Allison's car is Hut Strickland, and he's the surprise of the race. He started 25th. He got up there after the yellow flag, but the remarkable story is he's staying there and looking good, and everybody's happy for Bobby Allison. Back to you, Ken.
Well, there you see him in car number 12, still working on Ernie Irvan, and that is a great struggle.
Well, he just got passed by Ernie Irvan. Ernie has been trying to pass him for at least 15 laps. Davey Allison came down on the inside in the black car number 28, but he couldn't quite make the pass. So Hut Strickland running in 6th place, Allison trying to take that position away.
In-laws running against each other there.
Right.
Here's Strickland.
Hut Strickland is married to Davey Allison's first cousin.
Back comes car number 6. That lead continuing to build for Mark Martin. Martin just drawing away a car length or 2 every lap.
Well, they certainly did their homework, had that car set up perfectly here today.
You know, the sister race to this, they run each August. A year ago, Strickland ran to a 4th spot on this. And now, of course, teamed with Bobby Allison, who really knows this track well and was twice a winner in this race alone. Be interesting to see what happens there. Here comes Elliott, working on the outside of Ernie Irvan.
Well, Irvan trying to take away that 4th position from Bill Elliott. Elliott's car drifting up a little bit in the turns. And at the same time, Davey Allison coming down on the inside of that Strickland.
This is what makes Michigan such an exceptional racetrack, is that they can run like this so many laps, so many miles.
Very wide, as we see Davey Allison trying to come down on the inside to make it 3 abreast, but that didn't quite work.
Mike Joy has a special guest.
Well, he's a very interested onlooker, Ken. Bobby Allison, you're watching your son race against your car side by side with a family member in it. Now, who are you pulling for there?
Well, I'm pulling for both of them. For right now, I need Hood to go ahead and kind of ease up there a little if he can. That Ray Bestis Buick is running awful good today. Davey's running awful good in his car, and I'm for both of them.
Okay, well, Hut's doing a great job there right now. Let's go to Dave Despain.
I'm with Robert Yates, who owns Davey Allison's car. What's the situation with the car right now? Is he comfortable?
Well, the car's pretty comfortable. It's a little bit tight, and, you know, right now we're just trying to hang in there.
Is the racetrack going to go the right direction for you with a tight car? Is the track going to come to you?
Well, it's a little bit sandy to start with, and, you know, once you work the groove in, it'll probably go from a little bit loose back to tight.
Good luck. That's Robert Yates, who owns Davey Allison's car. He's pretty happy with where they are right now.
And they are running in the 6th position at the present time. Whoops, change that. Here comes Rusty Wallace into the picture, changing things once again. Wallace moves up a spot, sets Davey Allison back. Jeff Bodine just behind them.
And while they were up there racing for those positions, Rusty caught up to him. Now he's in the thick of the battle, trying to do some passing himself.
Again, every seat, 51,000 of them here as they continue to add the spectator seating. Sold out early, and the infield is remarkable. And we've had 2 full days of nothing but rain. The crowd turned out en masse to see this 400-miler. Again, this is the leader, and let's take a look at the interval back to 2nd place. There's Dale Earnhardt in 2nd, trying to turn his luck around. Boy, it has gone bad recently. And Harry Gant seeking his 2nd win in a row after that great victory at Pocono. Here comes Ernie Irvan, 4th. Bill Elliott maintaining 5th, followed by Hut Strickland 6th, Davey Allison now 7th, Rusty Wallace 8th, Bodine is 9th, Schrader is 10th, and Brett Bodine. Car number 94, Sterling Marlin, has just come on pit road as we watch further back in the field this tremendous struggle.
He was running in 14th position, Ken, when he came into the pits and changed the right side tires.
Marlin was in 22 seconds and back out. The big guns are struggling in this race. Kowicki is now running in 21st. Kyle Petty back to 23rd. Hill in 24th. Trickle, who got himself banged up pretty good at Pocono, is back in 26th. Moroso, the leader of the rookie standings, is in 27th. And everybody's chasing this young man out of Arkansas, Mark Martin.
That car just continues to run like it's on a rail.
However, the cars numbers 3 and 33, the Chevy and the Oldsmobile, locked up in a draft, are closing down a little on that leader. They're picking up some ground. That's Earnhardt and Gant beginning to move back in on Mark Martin. Ernie Irvan staying 4th.
Irvan perhaps is the fastest car out there right now, Ken, because he has definitely picked up on Dale Earnhardt and Harry Gant. You can see the difference, the wide margin that Mark Martin now enjoys. You can see Irvan coming into the picture on the right side of your screen, the yellow car. Since he got out of that battle with Bill Elliott and Hut Strickland, he has caught Harry Gant and Dale Earnhardt.
Less than a second. And it was a second and a half just 12 laps ago. That shows 1-7. 1-7 at the interval between 1st and 2nd spot.
Boy, look at Irvan go down on the inside trying to make a move on Harry Gant. That car is fast.
A couple of Oldsmobiles locked up. And there's your son going a lap down in car number 21.
Here's Mark Martin putting a lap on Dale Jarrett.
Urban closing it on Gant. A couple of Oldsmobiles at war. Down to the inside. 33 struggling a little with a handle as Harry Gant for a moment. And that's all that Ernie Irvan needed. Ernie Irvan going up into third spot.
Again, as we watch that battle, car number 91, Eddie Cooper, a local driver, has just pulled his car into the garage.
So that's the third retiree. 37 still on the track. We should be seeing some pit stop activity, regular pit stop activity, in what, about 5 laps?
Well, right now, Michael Waltrip is coming into the pits. Lake Speed is back into pits. He was in for an unscheduled pit stop earlier. As we watch Ernie Irvan drive that Oldsmobile.
Oh, Pennington is in the wall. Jack Pennington slams the wall. Tears up car number 47. Caution is out, second time today. Jack Pennington comes to rest up on the outside of turn 4.
Well, that's a tough break for those drivers who had just made pit stops, Michael Waltrip and the car number 94 of Sterling Marlin. Now, the others will be able to come in during caution as we see Jack Pennington's car pinned up against the wall. Oldsmobile.
It sure came at a right time for all of those leaders as far as fuel was concerned. But what a bad moment for Jack Pennington, the Georgia champ. Slamming the wall just out of 3 and sliding along the wall for several hundred feet. Let's look again.
Okay, we see him come into the turn, and it looks like the right rear tire might have blown on the car. At least the back end went out from under him, Ken, and he slams into the wall, but he stays up against the wall. And you see the other cars going by on the inside, and he just hugs the wall.
This happening at lap 59. Caution on the track here in lap number 60 for the crash by Jack Pennington. Here's a word from Mike Joy.
Ken, the reason Sterling Marlin made an unscheduled pit stop was he developed a crack in the right front wheel on the car. These cars take a tremendous side loading, and as that started to crack, the wheel started to waver a bit, and it grained up the tire. So he's back on course and okay, and everybody's coming to pit road. Let's go to Chris.
Unscheduled pit stop for Michael Waltrip was to pull the bodywork off the left rear wheel of the car. He obviously had come up against somebody. Last week, Waltrip reached the exalted status in NASCAR stock car racing. He passed the $1 million mark with the $8,400 he got at Pocono for 19th place. But he's got a long way to go to reach the level of his brother, Darrell Isby. Darrell has won $10.3 million in his career, second on the all-time list to Dale Earnhardt, who has $10.6 million. And these include IndyCar winners, too. You're looking at the 2 biggest winners in all of auto racing on the track today. Back to you, Ken.
Jack Pennington coming away from his automobile. First crash for Pennington since practice at Daytona back in February. Looks to be okay. And we'll be back with more of CBS Sports coverage of the Michigan 400 after this word from your local station. We're under caution as they continue to remove debris from Jack Pennington's car at turn 4. Here's Mike Joy.
Ken, 2 miscues on those caution flag pit stops. In the Sterling Marlin pit, Harold Hughes had the left side lug nuts undone while the tire change was being completed on the right side, and the driver got the wrong signal, and he took off as they came around the car before they had a chance to change those left side tires. Sterling stopped after going about 50 feet and wisely, gingerly eased the car back so they could tighten the lug nuts. They sent him back around and got the left side changed without any further loss of time since we're under caution. Terry Labonte also had either a change in strategy or miscue because he came back in second time around to change those left side tires. So those 2 cars will be at the back of the pack on the restart. Here's Dave Despain.
It's one of the most frequently told stories in stock car racing. Dale Earnhardt's pit crew gets him track position. They came in second spot. They turned the quicker pit stop. Earnhardt comes back out in front. The question, Richard Childress, car owner, is can he stay there? You guys are still struggling a little.
Yeah, we're still working on the chassis. Mark's real strong. You know, he's strong down the straightaways, and we're just a little tight off the corner, and we're making some small adjustments. We don't want to do too much at one time.
How are you making those adjustments? We didn't see anybody turning the screw there.
We're working with our tires right now, and then, you know, once we get those like we want it, then we're going to come back and work with the chassis to fine-tune it.
That's Richard Childress, the car owner. His car is on the point. Question now, how long can they stay there?
Well, of course, he likes being up there, Dave, right now. He has already picked up 5 bonus points for leading a lap, and that's very important because he's in 5th place in the Winston Cup point standings.
And he actually passed the 6 coming down pit road.
Yeah, which is legal. I mean, he beat him to the line at the end of pit road. And,
they came down. It was a drag race.
Yep.
Right to the first turn area, and Earnhardt wins it.
I tell you, a fellow that really gained on this series of pit stops, we see Jeff Bodine running in 3rd place. He's the red car on the right of the screen. He was running in 9th place and came out running 3rd. The Junior Johnson crew turning in a very fast pit stop.
Bill Elliott will start in 4th on this restart. Harry Gant in 5th. Davey Allison 6th. Rusty Wallace will be 7th. Ken Schrader 8th. Brett Bodine 9th. Ernie Irvin 10th. Darrell Waltrip in 11th. Hutch Strickland 12th. Neil Bonnet in 13th. I think we're probably a lap away from going. We just saw them send car number 30 around the track. Michael Waltrip got back on the tail end of that lead lap. They had him down a lap for a moment.
Well, that was a break for him, and they are getting the signal now for one more lap, and we'll go back to green flag racing.
And when they do, we'll have 65 laps complete as you take a look at the standings with 60 laps complete here in Michigan on the 2-mile D today before a standing room only crowd. Everything sold out, infield packed. Weather has turned perfect, although it was raining this morning. 6:30, still coming down, as it had rained for the last 2 days, curtailing practice with the exception of a little over an hour yesterday afternoon, and all the competitors had to split that time. Let's go to Chris Economack.
Well, you're looking at J.D. McDuffie, number 70. He's not a front runner, and he's not a star, but he's there. Today marked his 645th start in this racing series, and he's 0 for 645. J.D. has never won a race. Maybe someday.
And he has my favorite sponsor right on the rear deck there, Rumpel. Is right there on the back of J.D., the furniture folks. Okay, here's that pass that changed the lead. There you see the 6, and there's Earnhardt diving underneath him, coming down pit road to take first place.
Now, he's pitting a little farther down pit road, I believe, than Mark Martin, and he had momentum really going out of the pits, and he took advantage of it.
That'll be interesting to see if the changes. Childress was commenting earlier. They were still working to get this car up to snuff. If it's all worked out to keep Dale Earnhardt in front for his 2nd win here in this event. There you see Dale Jarrett, the 21 car, the Wood brothers, a lap down just on the inside. Field coming down for a start. Mark Martin 2nd. Jeff Bodine in the Junior Johnson Ford in 3rd. Bill Elliott running 4th. Harry Gant in 5th. Boy, it is a rejuvenated Harry Gant these days.
Yes. Car running very strong for Gant. Here's J.D. McDuffie coming out of the pits once again.
Stop, go, action on J.D. Back straight away. Earnhardt in the 3 car by 4 car lengths. Here they are for turn 3. Look at this battle as car number 11 sorts himself out from lap cars, and number 28 slowing down.
Yes, Davey Allison having problems. And evidently headed for pit road. Tough break for him. He had been battling up there in the top 10, running very strong here today. We heard Robert Yates say that the car was working pretty well. Let's see, is he going to make that left turn into the garage area? Yes, he is. Tough break for Davey Allison.
4th car out of the race. Davey Allison goes back to the garage area, and that one looks serious. Up in front, Earnhardt, that advantage not building for him, stabilizing his car number 6. Martin closes in. Chevy versus Ford.
Now, the car we saw on the right of the screen, here he is, Sterling Marlin, car number 94. He is a lap down as a result of that unscheduled pit stop. He's trying to get back up there. His car is fast. He'd like to get up there and pass Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt to get back in the lead lap. And look at him. He's trying to move on the inside of Mark Martin. Couldn't quite do it then, but his car is very fast. Bill Elliott coming up behind him now. Elliott running in 3rd.
Bodine in 4th. Martin closing in on Earnhardt. Down to 3 car lengths. Down to 2, 1.5. He's there.
Now, the only leader that Mark Martin has had to pass today has been Harry Gant when Gant came out first during the other caution. Boy, look at this race action. Ernie Irvin and the yellow car, and Harry Gant coming down on the inside.
Rusty Wallace right with him. Come along for the ride with Ernie Irvan and Harry Gant. They slug it out at 175 miles an hour. Up to the outside, Ernie Irvan fighting his way through, working on Harry Gant.
Brett Bodine in the green car, beginning to flex his muscles a little. Currently running in 9th position.
7th spot is Irvan in the 4th.
Bill Elliott has made a move up at the front. He has moved into 2nd place, and look at him now moving in on Dale Earnhardt.
Now that is a surprise. Down to the bottom comes Elliott. Even and going into turn number 1. Still side by side, and we have a new leader, Bill Elliott, taking over. Remember, he's trying to win his first race. Right now, Earnhardt comes back in the Chevrolet.
He just went into that turn a little too hard, drifted up, and Earnhardt just kept her down on the inside and drove right back past him. So Elliott now will have to do it all over again.
69 complete. Here's pulling away just a bit. Earnhardt to a car length. Elliott coming back on the outside. Battle of the day for the lead. Sterling Marlin stay. Here comes Elliott dropping down to the bottom of the track. Let's see what they'll do in turn 1.
Well, this is where he made the pass before, and he drove in the turn a little too fast. He backed off that time, though, Ken, but didn't get around it.
Like he might have pinched him down just a little, but he stays right there, ready to attack out of turn 2.
Yeah, he's going to try him on the backstretch this time. He has good momentum coming off of that turn.
Headed for that 18-degree banking. 3 and 4. Bill Elliott's number 9 is there.
You'll have to keep it low, though, to stay there, but he doesn't. He drifts high. Look at Earnhardt come back on the inside. But Elliott might have the momentum this time coming off the turn to beat him back into turn 1.
And moving around the lap car comes number 6, Mark Martin. 3-car battle.
Dale Jarrett's car down on the inside. Apparently he has a problem with the Wood Brothers car. As we continue to watch that battle for the lead. But Elliott, I think, has it now and will be able to maintain that situation. But it's not going to be easy.
As he fades high, that number 3 finds that bottom of the racetrack he was liking, and Earnhardt continues to clamber back up. Roosting right on the rear bumper of car number 9, Dale Earnhardt, the man in black. And then Martin stays there, followed by the lap car, the blue and gold colors of Billy Hagan's racing team. Take a look at this pass. This is what just happened. Set it up. Down to the inside came car number 9, Bill Elliott.
Now that was the first pass he made. Going into turn 1, he had the Earnhardt pass clearly, but watch, he drives into the turn a little too hard. The car gets a little loose. He drifts up in the track. Earnhardt just turns it left, stays down on the inside of the track, and passes him back.
Back with live action at the Michigan International Speedway. 73 laps complete. Let's get a report from Dave Despain down at the number 9 pits.
As Bill Elliott makes his moves on the racetrack, here is a telltale spot of oil that he has left on pit road. It happened during the last pit stop, and NASCAR called the Elliott crew on it. They said, "You've got a problem." They were frantic because they didn't know where the oil was coming from. Now, with a combination of spotter work and further information from NASCAR, they think the oil cooler is leaking, and their plan is to cut the belts on the pump that drives the cooler and perhaps disable it completely, trying to stop the leak. It's a risky move. They're going to make it absolutely as late in the race as possible. They hope they don't have to make it all.
Next time, excuse me, the next time by, they're 25 laps and halfway. That's a long way to go with that kind of a condition.
Well, it really is, and that car is so fast right now, Ken. He has turned it loose. Here's Ernie Irvan trying to turn his Oldsmobile loose.
He's working under Mark Martin and number 21 on pit road, Dale Jarrett. That particular car, the Wood Brothers, so successful on this track, right now going a lap down. Problems for Dale Jarrett. Mike Joy.
Dale Jarrett bumped the wall with the right rear of the car coming off the corner, and you can see wheel marks on the left side of the car, which may have had something to do with it. They got out the big pry bar to try to give him a little fender clearance between the right rear and the tire. Let's go pit road to Chris.
That Wood Brothers number 21, which has the best record of any car,
and Lynchburg, Virginia, and signed the back, and they're really rooting for this car to win. They took the money that they give to employees to improve business and put it in this race car. So Dale Jarrett has got a lot of people watching him in Lynchburg, Virginia today.
Yeah, there's that trunk lid. And folks like Laura Franklin and Bill Denton and Mary Culpepper, they own a race car today. You folks watching back home, he's out there still trying after they've tagged the wall in 21 and is out of the top 20. Interval first to second. Elliott's Ford leading Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet in second. Then Martin and Ernie Urban are in a scramble. 1 and 3/10 seconds between first and second.
He's pulling away more than Mark Martin did earlier in the race.
And Schrader is back into it another time in car number 25. He's up to 5th. Bodine is in 6th. Gant stays 7th. An added drama now, car number 9. As Dave Despain reported, he may be in trouble, but he's been in this situation before on this track. 3 times he's turned the season around with a victory here, starting back in 1986. And every time there seems to be a little extra theatrics that they have problems on pit road, and they overcome them.
For some reason, they can overcome them here, Ken, and have not been able to at some other racetracks. And it has been a good track for him. When he needs to win, he's been able to come here and get it. And, of course, they were hoping that this might be the race that would turn their 1990 season around. Hasn't been all that bad, but they haven't won yet.
And it's a different-looking number 19 than what we've seen before.
Well, they have Mike Beam as the crew chief on there, which is an outside family member.
So there you see the battle. Going down the back straightaway. That's for second place at Michigan International Speedway, as it continues to be Bill Elliott's race. 5. Going a little further back, here you find Jeff Bodine, Harry Gant running in 7th, Wallace, Hutch Strickland right up there in 9th, and Derek Cope, the winner at Daytona. And rounding out this report, Greg Sachs, Brett Bodine, Darrell Waltrip to 13th, Richard Petty up in 15th position. And as you saw, Harry Gant in 7th position, winner a week ago at Pocono, Pennsylvania, to become the oldest winner at 50 years and 157 days. He joined Hale Irwin as seniors who really came through after Hale Irwin's great victory a week ago in the U.S. Open and at the Buick Classic. After 3 rounds, they had not teed off today when the score was up at 10 under. Now, Bill Elliott is in front. There you see the second place man. The black number 3 is Earnhardt, and down to the inside, that's that number 4, Ernie Urban, making a run on Mark Martin. Leader, number 9, Elliott.
He's just sitting out there all alone, Ken, has been able to pull away from those cars racing back there for second place as Ernie Urban tries to take over third from Mark Martin, but he has to back off a little bit going into the turn.
And look at Schrader stay right with him and try to make him 3 wide out of turn 4. Schrader in the white car down the bottom of the track with the Hendrick stable.
He got a good jump coming off of that turn. Let's see if he can maintain it going into turn 1 as they come across the start-finish line 3 abreast. But who's going to give going into the turn?
Nobody.
It won't be Schrader. No. Well, Ernie Irvin decided that's not the smart thing to do back off. And it was the smart thing. I should have said it's not the smart thing to go on in there. And he didn't go in there. He backed off.
And Ernie giving us these pictures as he closes right up on the rear buffer. Just a few inches away. Now swings to the inside on Schrader as he tries to take one back.
We're headed into turn 3, but he backs off going into the turn.
Now in this 18-degree banking, watch the back end of those cars just get on the very edge.
And Ernie Irvin, he's a young driver. First year that he's had a car that could run up front. And he started out a little overly aggressive the first few races he was in this car, but they've quietened him down now. He's making some very pro moves out there on the racetrack.
That was
especially there a moment ago when he backed off when they went in there 3 abreast. He knew that it was not smart to go in there, so he backed the car off. That was very smart and very professional.
There you see Schrader right in front of him in 4th, Ernie Irvin in 5th. Back inside going into 3. Now watch them dance these giant cars, heaviest cars in American racing, right up on the very edge. And here comes Schrader on the outside, trying to make a pass on number 6 Martin as they come down before this gigantic congregation.
Well, you know, he made that look pretty easy. Martin gave him the room up there to run, and Schrader just went up there and took advantage of it.
But that's the point of this track. It's so wide that if you got it, it seems like you can pass anywhere. And it gets back to the subtlety you talked about earlier.
Yeah, and you can't cover every point of this racetrack. If you're driving defensively, there's no way that you can cover every part of the racetrack because it is so wide.
I bet you Earnhardt can.
He can do as good a job as anybody. That's the truth. That car can get awfully wide at times.
Mark Martin in the number 6. Up in 4th, Ernie Irvan in 5th. And here's Ernie fading to the outside, making another run. Tremendous pictures as we watch these 3,700-pound cars just dancing around this racetrack. Elliott leading by 2 4/10 seconds, but this is where the struggle is further back in the field. Getting down toward the halfway point, 86 laps complete. Here's Irvan back to the outside again.
Now, Martin using the low groove here, so he's given Irvan plenty of room up there on the outside. That's where Ken Schrader made the pass. But Martin looks up in the rearview mirror and said, well, he's not there yet, so I'll just drift up in front of him. So Irvan says, okay, I'll go low then. But that don't work either, not this time at least.
Mark Martin in 4th. And Mark Martin looking back here at Ernie Irvan in the number 4 car. They're side by side. Reach over and touch each other and just about do as they come down the main straightaway.
And Martin backs off.
Incredible racing.
Yeah, and lets Irvan go.
Irvan cut him a little, didn't he?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Didn't give him any slack.
He's running very fast.
Now that, oh, the 3 car looks like it got tangled up for just a moment.
And Kenny Schrader has taken over 2nd place from Dale Earnhardt.
Beebe, the young California driver, getting lapped over there in that melee. And there he is falling back. 28-year-old guy making a run. Let's go to Chris Economaki quickly.
Mark Martin, right there, number 6, is telling his crew over the radio that his car is too tight and it's getting worse and worse. Jack Roush says at the next stop they're going to angle the spoiler to try and make it looser so it'll be competitive again. What little adjustment is sending this car backwards. Back to you, Ken.
Martin holding 5th, going back for 4th another time, dropping down to the inside. Irvan looks back, and over his left shoulder there is the number 6. Full song into that 3rd.
There we see some of the other cars coming by, so fans can see their favorite driver where they are. There was Richard and Kyle Petty went by. There was Ricky Rudd, Alan Kulwicki, Dave Martins.
Only
Those cars head into turn 3.
Only 4 cars have retired. Holmes, Means, Pennington, and Davey Allison.
Here's the Ernie Irvan car, number 4, trying to make a move on Earnhardt to take over 3rd place.
Elliott with the advantage. Today's biggest lead is being enjoyed by car number 9. Here's Mike Joy.
Richard Broom is the team manager of the 2nd place car of Kenny Schrader. He's been away for a few weeks from surgery, but boy, it must feel good to be back when that car's running that well. It must be good to be back.
It sure is. I tell you, the driver's doing a heck of a job, and I'm just tickled to death. We had a good pit stop, and we've been working on that, and everything's coming together for us.
Well, they've learned a little about pit stops. We'll have more on that next caution flag.
Look at this fight. This is for 3rd, folks. On the inside, there you see the 6. Mark Martin pressing on the inside. Earnhardt on the outside. Down the middle again, Ernie Irvan going into 1.
I don't think Mark Martin had any intentions of trying to pass those 2 cars as they came off of turn 4, but Irvan and Earnhardt got side by side. They just opened the door. There was room down there, so he just drove her under there. But, of course, it didn't. The pass didn't stick, but he had a little fun.
Well, here he is. Mark Martin giving you these pictures of the battle directly in front of him. He has slipped back 2 spots. Just had a quick moment up there in the sunlight. Now he follows right in behind. Dale Earnhardt running in that 3rd position.
And they better not look too far back because Rusty Wallace is beginning to come into the picture back there.
He's back in 6. Back to the inside comes Ernie Irvan. Ernie Irvan in that Oldsmobile. Down. Running very tight to the wall is Earnhardt in the number 3.
But watch Earnhardt drive deeper into the turn, and he'll keep the position. He drives the car as deep into the turn as anyone out here, and evidently the lower groove is beginning to get a little slick now, Ken, and Ernie just had to back off to keep the car from sliding up into Earnhardt.
92 laps complete, 8 away from the halfway mark.
Irvan has the faster car, but it just can't get around Earnhardt. I believe he could pull away from him if he could get around it. But as you said earlier, if anybody can use up this wide racetrack, Dale Earnhardt can do it.
Let's talk for a moment about There was no defense. Urban just down to the inside underneath Dale Earnhardt taking over third spot.
But look
And
at Earnhardt.
Here's Earnhart right back on it again.
Yeah, he's going to intimidate him, make him work. No doubt about it. Of course, the way that you use up the racetrack is, of course, you go into the turn low, and then you drift up high coming off of the turn, and it just takes the fast groove. Look at Rusty Wallace.
Here comes Rusty Wallace in the black number 27. Earnhardt in car number 3, and Urban continue the war, but they open up the inside. Ooh, right up to the outside.
Yeah, they got close there coming off that turn.
And squirrely. And down comes number 27 to the bottom. Rusty Wallace on the attack. Wallace looking for his third win of 1990. Dives down in there. Out of Ernie Urban's car. Watch this fight. Ernie Urban back to third. And take a look at this as they continue this war side by side. It's Wallace on the inside, Earnhardt on the outside. What a struggle.
And there comes Mark Martin up on the inside.
And scooting underneath both of them.
Yeah, he just used the draft off of those two cars and moved right around. But Earnhardt, again, drove into that turn so fast that he got back to position. That's another way that you can use
Watch
up the
this move on
racetrack.
the inside. Here comes number 6 back again. Back straightaway. Car number 3 and number 27 locked up in a draft on the outside. Mark Martin giving you these incredible pictures. Urban is taken over in third. You're watching the fight for fourth. Earnhardt has it for fourth. 27, Wallace in fifth. Mark Martin sliding back to sixth, and then the lap car, Sterling Marlin, and in seventh, Harry Gandon, number 33.
Well, he's had a good seat to watch that battle going on up in front of him. But we speculated, Ken, that Ernie Urban might be able to pull away from Dale Earnhardt if he could ever get by him, and you can see that he is beginning to pull away a little now. Of course, this battle for third back here helps him.
Meanwhile, back up in front, by his lonesome, Bill Elliott. And you heard the story. Found some oil dripping out of that car, and they may have to do some mechanical work to keep him going out here today. 5 laps away from halfway.
5 laps from halfway, and we got notice that Earnhardt plans to pit somewhere maybe around 105 laps. So about 10 laps from his pit
in that halfway mark a little earlier than I should have a few moments ago. My apologies.
Rusty Wallace, the national champion, car number 27, out there driving his heart out, finds time to do some charitable endeavors. He pledges entire day's winnings for the next race, the Firecracker 400 Daytona on the 7th of July, to the Miller Brewing Dreams Take Time program, which helps fund U.S. Olympic training centers and Olympic hopefuls. IndyCar driver Roberto Guerrero doing the same thing. So here's Rusty Wallace out here going like mad. In the next race, if he wins, it'll be over $60,000. He's going to give it away to charity. A fine champion is Rusty Wallace.
And he's making a fine run right now, Chris, as he goes wheel to wheel with Earnhardt, his old buddy.
Ken, I said a moment ago that was a battle for third. Actually, that's a battle for fourth. Bill Elliott is leading the race. Kenny Schrader is running second, and Ernie Urban is running third. Earnhardt now in fourth place.
Leader speed 169 miles an hour, Ned.
Still pretty good as the race goes on. The track gets a little slicker.
So as we come to the halfway point, Bill Elliott showing his hand early. We just saw the Greg Sachs car that had been running as high as 8th on pit road and losing valuable time, going perhaps a lap down as he got back out. We're checking him back. Here's Richard Petty in car number 43, and what a run Petty is having. He's in the 13th position, 14th position. Darrell Waltrip right there with him. That's a good fight going on between Richard Petty, who's won this race previously, and Darrell Waltrip. We'll be back for more of it shortly. And at that distance, these were the top 5. We are coming back into a period when they'll be coming on pit road under green to take on rubber and fuel. Bill Elliott was leading, Schrader in second, Ernie Urban in third, Earnhardt, Wallace rounding out the top 5. Bill Elliott stays on the track. Rusty Wallace was just in for 21 seconds and came back to the action. Schrader staying second, Urban third, Earnhardt fourth, Mark Martin fifth. Harry Gandon 6th, Derek Cope to 7th, Hut Strickland to 8th. 9th is Jeff Bodine. Going 10th is Brett Bodine, and Morgan Shepherd comes back to 11th. He had faded back into 15th and 16th for a while. Richard Petty, who's having a good run, has pitted and come back on the track, Ned.
Yes, he made a 4-tire change in 24 and 7/10 of a second. A good 4-tire change for Richard Petty. He was running in 14th position when he came into the pits. And Michael Waltrip also made a pit stop just a few moments ago, so those were regular pit stops.
Here you see the battle for fourth. That 3-car and the 6-car continue at it. Pretty rugged around this racetrack. Not giving each other an inch. Further back in the field, you saw Darrell Waltrip coming by. He currently is in the 12th position, and he's fighting out there with Rick Wilson in the 75. Elliott's number 9, leading. Big time. Having the kind of lead that was enjoyed. You're just joining us by Mark Martin at the outset. He just grew away from the field by sometimes as much as 2 seconds. We had a stop, a mandatory stop by NASCAR on lap number 20. And as much as they had very little practice, no qualifying for this race. Now there's Petty.
This is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And Dale Earnhardt is coming into the pits. The 4th place car, Dale Earnhardt, into the pits. This is a normal pit stop. We had speculated he would come in on lap 105. He comes in on lap 104.
You get missed by a whole lap.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes sometimes. Let's see, only 2 tires, right side tires, tank of fuel, good pit stop.
About 12 and 3/10 seconds, Ned.
Wow, that should
Boy, you
keep him
call
in the
that
lead
one
lap.
right on the nickel. 105 laps, now complete, working 106. Richard Petty, who's been running up here in this top group, his only top 20 finish this year was down at Martinsville, and he got 20. Here you see the number 33, Gant, closing in again on Mark Martin. Martin is in 4th, Gant is in 5th, and we're watching Morgan Shepherd on pit road. Makes
Harry Labonte coming into the pits as well. As we see Morgan sitting there patiently waiting for them to change the right side tires. Apparently that's all he's going to do. And it is. Gets a tank of fuel, and he's away.
Pushing him on.
11 and 6/10 seconds.
Here's Mike.
Kenny Schrader is going to make a stop on this lap, and Jeff Hammond of the Tide crew, like this car owned by Rick Hendrick, has been drilling this team on pit stops, helping them to improve. They have a new jackman, Danny Hitech, and one of the things Hammond talked to them about was where to set down those tires that Mike Slattery's carrying over the wall. What he told Hitech, the jackman, is to count when that second can of gas goes in. It takes about 7 seconds to drip it in. 6, 5, when he gets to 3, he's going to drop that jack. 2, 1, down it goes, and Kenny will little late getting out. A little bit of a stall there, but they've been trying to pick up some time, and they gained it.
We had him out at 15 and 1/10 seconds. Back on the track. And it's wholesale pit stop time. Rick Wilson is in. Dick Trickle is on pit road. Dale Jarrett just coming back out again. Beebe, the young driver from California, making his first run here. He's on pit road. The DK Ulrich car. Derek Cope is in.
Now, Ken, here's, you see Derek Cope coming in. We saw that Dale Earnhardt was running right behind Bill Elliott, so he did lose a lap on the pit stop that he made, but Elliott has yet to stop as we see Derek Cope getting the service. Now, this has been a very fast pit crew. Here we see Bill Elliott still leading the race, and here's Earnhardt trying to get back in the lead lap. And there's Morgan Shepherd right behind Earnhardt, so he too is a lap down to Bill Elliott right now. And Elliott's crew seems to be getting ready to bring him in here before long.
Ernie Elliott always built engines and gave them great range. Here's Mark Martin on pit road, riding with Martin as he pits. Running up there in the top 3 all day. Brings his car to a halt. They immediately go to work on car 6. Saw Troy Martin out there holding the board. Mark told me, he says, you know, he said, we have a joke between us. He says, and we keep saying, I'll get closer to you yet when I come in. Doesn't seem to bother Troy Martin much. Elliott is pitting. Leader is on pit road. Here's Dave Despain.
Mike Beam is the man who carries Bill Elliott's hope for victory in his hands. A pair of pliers. He'll go under the car, right rear. Impossible to see. He's on the outside of the racetrack as they fuel and service the car and go to right side tires. Beam disappears under the car. He has cut the belts that drive the oil pump that feeds the oil to the cooler. An excellent pit stop for Elliott. No time lost in the exchange. They hope that will fix the oil leak and put them back to 100%. Let's see if we can get Mike Beam. Beam is out there cleaning up after the pit stop, and we want to check and see if he was successful. Mike Beam, did you get the job done under there? Were you able to get the job done?
It's not what I thought it was.
We're going to take one more look at that pit stop. He wants to check with the NASCAR officials. Their concern is that the officials may still be worried about the oil leak. Ken?
And you heard him say it's not what they thought it was.
Yeah, that was an interesting situation. As we see Harry Gant now coming into the pits. Jeff Bodine is in, Darrell Waltrip, and Brett Bodine also in the pits. Harry Gant, the winner last week, 50 years old, gets a change of right size tires in 10 and 9/10 seconds. A very fast pit stop for Harry Gant.
Waltrip making his pit stop. He stays in the lead lap. Gant had been leading. Brett Bodine getting back out. All of these pit stops in the range of 1:06 to lap 1:11. Let's look again at car number 9 as they went to work.
Okay, and we see Mike Beam underneath the car. He's the fellow just right under the melling, and the rear tire changer had to throw the tire over Mike. Of course, he was under there. You see him roll out from under the car, trying to cut those belts to the oil cooler, but he said it was not what he thought it was, so that's going to be an interesting situation.
Let's see if we can get more word from Dave Despain as to what it is that NASCAR is concerned about on car number 9. Butch Miller on pit road. Yes, Dave Despain.
Mike Beam, again, the man who went under the car. Mike, you said it's not what you think it is. The oil's coming out the overflow. Is that right?
Yeah, I thought it was a line busted. When I got up underneath there, everything looked fine. It did some oil drift on me. I looked up, and it was coming out of the trunk where the overflow is for the rear end house.
Is that a worse problem or not as bad a problem?
Hopefully it'll blow out enough where it'll stop.
In any event, the NASCAR officials are going to keep a very close eye on that. Their concern, of course, is oil leaking on the racetrack, making things slick, oil blowing on the other competitors. They don't know if they've got this problem solved, Ken.
You know, it's interesting, Dave and Ken, that Mike Beam was only under that car for 10 seconds, and he diagnosed that whole thing in that period of time. Just shows what a pro he is.
112 laps are down. 112 complete. And as things shake out, Bill Elliott finds himself back in first after these pit stops, Ned. Car number 9, Harry Gant is being shown as the second place runner on the racetrack, and Schrader the third.
And that fast pit stop by Harry Gant is what put him in second. He was running in 7th place, I think it was, before he came into the pits, but that 10 and 9/10 second stop that he had put him up in second place.
And Ernie Irvan finds himself in 4th as they get going again. So the Morgan McClure team has got to be ecstatic about the way he's handling that car this afternoon.
He's running very well. He went into the pits running 3rd, but Harry Gant passed him. In fact, Gant passed both Ernie Irvan and Ken Schrader.
There's Ernie. Having a wonderful time. Doesn't look like he's enjoying it much. He's just doing his job.
Doing his job. He's driving a good race, driving a good smart race. We've seen him in several situations that maybe he could have gotten in trouble, but he backed out of it and stayed safe.
Ernie Irvan stays 4th, and right behind him, there you see Mark Martin in 5th with 114 laps complete in our live coverage of the Michigan 400. Sponsored by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil. At the Michigan International Speedway, with 115 of 200 laps complete, we've had 5 different leaders, 6 lead changes, averaging 138 miles per hour with 2 cautions thus far reported, and only 4 cars of the original 40 being set out of the race. Now they're reporting a 5th car out as J.D. McDuffie has gone behind the wall, and we could have another. You could add Greg Sachs' car number 18, which had started well back on the field, Ned Jarrett, is just rolling behind. Looks like they may try to do some work and get him back out.
Well,
here.
They pulled it back behind the wall. Yes, they're raising the hood back there. And just moments ago, Dale Jarrett took the Wood Brothers Ford into the garage area as well. So he has become a victim here today.
So Combs, Means, Pennington, Allison, McDuffie have fallen by the wayside thus far. That attrition is just incredible.
And we'll see Bill Elliott going around Dick Trickle. Dick is off the pace. It sounds like his car is running on about 6 or 7 cylinders when he comes by.
Imagine being halfway in a race with this much pressure on these cars and only really 5 5 cars out at the halfway mark. Here's Mike.
Again, after green flag pit stops, Dale Earnhardt finds himself mired in 6th place. They had a good stop, but inside the rear end on these cars, there's a ratchet that locks up to provide positive traction to both wheels. And as Dale took off out of the pits, it unlocked, leaving one wheel to spin. He was very slow getting back up to speed, and then wiggled the car back and forth. The ratchet locked back up again, and he's fine. He's back up to speed. Here's Dave Despain.
Greg Sachs has just parked his car behind the wall as they tend to it. Greg, what happened?
Well, it appears we've got a fuel pump going bad. I lost fuel pressure. I guess you'd notice we had stopped about 10 laps earlier than everybody else. I started losing fuel pressure. We got fuel, went back out, and still kept acting up again. The car was flipped about halfway down the straightaway. So instead of burning up the engine, we've come in, we're going to change fuel pumps and look to go back out.
Any idea how long that'll take?
I don't know how long it'll take. You know, I got an awful good crew here. This whole slim, fast crew will get the job done.
They're hard at work changing the fuel pump, letting Sachs get back out here. This is the part-time team out of the Rick Hendrick stable. They don't drive all the races, but the point about that Hendrick stable, of course, is they have yet to win a race this year. This guy will not have an opportunity to do that. Can you see that sign on the bumper, or on the bumper sticker on the dash? Yes, I am a movie star. This, of course, is one of the cars that had a lot to do with the making of the show that's going to debut on Monday, Days of Thunder. Ken?
All right. Greg Sachs, who we thought was really going to have a great day, and he certainly gave it a good try, but he's got in trouble after he came way out back to 8th position. Now you see the 9 car, there's Bill Elliott in that, and then there's some lap cars, and way back up here, that's the interval to the 2nd place man, number 33, Harry Gant. And following him is Schrader in number 25 in 3rd. There you see Gant in the 33.
Now Gant's about 8 6/10 seconds behind Bill Elliott.
And right behind Schrader is that Oldsmobile of Ernie Irvan, followed by the Ford of Mark Martin in 5th, and Dale Earnhardt in 6th. In 7th is Morgan Shepherd, followed by Rusty Wallace and Derek Cope. And we can take a look. Now look at this scramble here. Well, there you are back with Bill Elliott for a moment, but you saw the 3 and the 15. That is a battle that has been building here over the past 2 or 3 laps. Shepherd seems to be moving back in here.
6th, 7th, and 8th we're watching there right now as we take a look at the rundown on the bottom of your screen. Shepherd is back up there. Ken, he made some good gains on the very fast pit stop. And the car seems to be handling real well for him right now, so he's up there working on Dale Earnhardt.
The team, they said, that was too set in their ways, and they just seem to work so well together. Bud Moore and Morgan Shepherd. David?
We're looking at the gearbox out of Bobby Hillen's automobile, and with me is Harry Hyde. We met him at the top of the show, and now what we'd like to do is try to find out what's going on here. It's not actually a problem with the gearbox itself. The problem is right here with the splines on the transmission. What do you got to do here, Harry?
Well, it twisted the splines on the transmission. We can't get that piece out, so now we got to change the transmission.
So you got to take the gearbox clear out to fix one minor problem. How long is that going to take?
Well, we're hoping not over 15, 20 minutes.
Now, that's not in that black book you talked to Economaki about.
No, that's not it.
Okay, well, the solution to that problem comes out of this man's head. Harry Hyde was one he didn't count on from the black book today.
He is a black book. I mean, he knows it all, doesn't he?
He has a lot in that head over the many years that he's been in racing. One of the smartest people in auto racing.
If you're just joining us, 51,000 people bought every seat here. They have filled the infield to a capacity never seen before at Michigan International Speedway to enjoy Winston Cup racing and race number 14 on the 1990 season. Bill Elliott seeking his first win of the season right here at Michigan, a track he dearly loves. Right now, he's just continuing to build on a lead. We'll be back with more of CBS Sports coverage of the Michigan 400 after this message and a word from your local station.
Dropped out of the race. Ned, you recognize this guy?
Yeah, I do, Chris, but I'd rather he not be sitting there with you.
What pushed you out of the race, Dale?
Well, finally, something happened to the transmission. We started getting a vibration really bad. We'd lost all the gears except for high gear, and that was hampering us. And so we got a vibration there. Instead of tearing something up in the engine, transmission, and maybe the car, too, we decided to park the Citgo Ford today.
Put my arm around you, Dale. Here, you're soaking wet. How tough is it in the car?
Well, you know, running as long green stretches we're running, it gets awfully warm in there no matter how cool it is out here. Our car just wasn't working today. We missed the setup on the Citgo Ford, but the car was really pushing badly. And that's something you can't do here at Michigan. We'll just have to try it again when we come back.
Now, you got a bunch of new sponsors in Lynchburg, Virginia. You have anything to say to them over there? They're rooting for you.
Yeah, they sure were. We had the employees from the GE plant there in Lynchburg that had signed the declaration and put up some money here for the radio use that we have on the Citgo Ford. And I'd just like to say I'm sorry. We'll try it again next time. We appreciate your participation, and just keep with us. We'll get this Citgo Ford back up front.
Next time you talk to us, make it from Victory Lane. Dale Jarrett out of the race.
Yeah, that would be nice, Chris. I hope he'll be able to do that one day. And, of course, he, like many others out here, is dreaming of that day.
Well, yesterday with all that rain, I noticed that you did get a little extra time with your son at a racetrack. That doesn't happen very much.
Not very often, Ken, but it's nice to be able to spend a little bit of time with him. We're good buddies, and I like that.
But you look at this graphic with the speed breakdown here through 125 laps. That great shot from the Goodyear Blimp America to give you some sense of this wonderful 2-mile facility. We've got a car slowing dramatically up in turn 3, really off the pace on the high side of the racetrack. Maybe Eddie Bierswale's car, I'm not sure. Here you see Kyle Petty's number 42 in a rush back to the line.
I think it's the car number 12.
Strickland's car, number 12.
Yeah, he had been running so good here early, but now coasting around trying to get back to the inside of the racetrack.
Caution out. Yellow is on the track, third time today. Kept it up there and out of harm's way. Doyle Ford laying down the yellow. And as he flops the flag for the third time, it puts Bill Elliott first, Harry Gant second, Schrader third, Irvin fourth, Mark Martin fifth.
And Ken, this could give the Bill Elliott crew an opportunity maybe to raise that deck lid and see where that oil is coming from, the little problem that they're having.
Now the race record for this event, 153 miles an hour, and this will pretty much stymie any chance of getting a race record day. They'll be going about 144. Hutch Strickland's birthday, I think, is today or tomorrow, and that's not a very nice present.
No, it's not a nice present, especially with the good run that he had going here today.
21 cars remain on the lead lap. Pit road is closed, as you can see from that flag. Bill Elliott's number 9 bringing the field down. Pace car has them in the back straightaway.
Even though there was a little bit of leak from that, we saw it earlier on pit road. We haven't seen any smoke come from the car, so apparently it certainly is not affecting the running of the car.
Sounds like the overflow.
Yeah, I think so, and they'll certainly take a look at it. Boy, you can see everybody on pit road is ready.
And here is what you were talking about earlier. The emphasis is on pit road under caution like in no season before, because it's track position that will count. And as we get down here, we're getting pretty close to, they'd have to make one more pit stop no matter what, but you really want to get out here and not be 3 or 4 cars back if possible.
Now's the time that you've got to try to get track position, and the way that you do that is beat everybody out of the pits.
Field on pit road. Here's Dave.
The key pit stop for Bill Elliott is once again they will go under the car rather than into the trunk lid to try to determine the problem. They are changing the right side rubber. They are gassing the automobile. Of course, that is routine. What is not routine here is the inspection going on underneath. Now they will come back around to the left side. They will change all 4 tires. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Junior Johnson leading in, trying to fix the window net on Jeff Bodine's car as they put right side tires, and they'll come around and do the lefts. They've got to have that hooked up or he can't go back on the racetrack and run on the screen. Flossie's dumpling. Tim Brewer says she sometimes calls him 59 years old this week. He's one of NASCAR's finest drivers ever, and a successful car owner to boot.
Well, that's an unfortunate situation for Junior Johnson. See the NASCAR officials there. That screen is not going back up. It's not taking hold on the top and you slide it in.
And what it has cost him is that valuable track position that we were talking about.
David?
Diagnostics continuing here. They have gone out now to talk with the inspector. Mike Beam was here just a moment ago. The inspector called him out. They want to talk more about this oil situation. Mike, you were back under the car, same area of the car. What'd you find?
I think it's stock with none drift on me. Yeah, I think it'd be okay. That right there, that's why I wiped it, just to see if it happened anymore, but it didn't, so I think it will be okay.
What are the NASCAR inspectors telling you?
They're just keeping an eye on it, you know, but they're working with us real well, you know, and they said, you know, just watch it. You know, and I said, okay. So,
you don't think that car's in danger?
Nah, we're okay.
Nah, he doesn't think so. He certainly hopes not. They've got had a huge lead erased by this yellow as we go back to green. I think this car's okay, Ken.
One lap, they're going to turn them loose with Bill Elliott up in front. It'll be Schrader in that second spot when they get ready to go. Irvin pulling back in again, and Mark Martin for fourth. There you see the number 20 car, Robbie Moroso, who's the leading rookie driver in the race. Car number 20, leading the rookie standings. His 80-year-old grandmother has made her wish known for her 79-year-old for her 80th birthday. And the only thing she wants is to be in Daytona for the 4th of July.
All right.
That's the kind of grandmother to have.
That's a good time to be down there for the 400-miler on July the 7th. And Rob Moroso still in the lead lap in the top 20. In fact, being shown currently in 20th position. Richard Petty right in front of him.
And there you see the number 11 Junior Johnson car, Ned, right behind Moroso after that lengthy pit stop.
Yep, so track position, boy, he is way back in the field and has a lot of catching up to do now.
Bodine's pretty strong getting around through traffic, however. He probably can ring it back in if it's to be done. He'll have some trouble, however, with Bill Elliott running as well as he is. Here's Mike.
Eddie Bierswell trying to repair a broken right front shock absorber on his Oldsmobile and get back into the competition. The San Antonio Undertaker runs a limited schedule, but generally does pretty well here at Michigan.
Second appearance for him this year. We saw him at Daytona. Bierswell back out with number 23 and getting ready to go as the pace car is coming down, and they're set to turn them loose.
Sterling Marlin, one lap down still, but he would like to get the jump on Bill Elliott here and get back in the lead lap in case another caution should come out, then he would be in position to make a run for the big lap.
135 laps, 135 complete as they take green. And they immediately have Elliott jump out in front and Sterling Marlin tucked into that second spot. Michael Waltrip trying to take a lap back. He backs up. Back straightaway. Elliott drawing away. Big time. Schrader right in there trying to stay with it. The number 75 car, Rick Wilson. Is that being shown the lead lap? In which case he would be in second spot. The number 75 Oldsmobile of Rick Wilson. Ooh,
boy, they made a good pit stop. But look at him shuffle around. Harry Gant going down to the inside of Phil Parsons.
Wilson falling quickly back on that restart. He was up there for the moment, but not for long. Ernie Irvan finds himself in second. Here you are with Morgan Shepherd.
And he has nowhere to go because there are two veterans right in front of him. Darrell Waltrip on the right, Harry Gant down on the inside. Morgan looking for a place to go. He decides to follow Darrell Waltrip. Says, looks like he might be able to go. And he said, no, well, he's not going to go. Maybe I should go to the inside. No, I don't know which side to go on. I'll just follow him here and see what I can do.
Greg Sachs is back in the race after a 16-minute stop overhauling the fuel pump on car number 18. He's back on the track.
Of course, with no chance to win. Look at the windshield on Shepherd's car. It is broken. Apparently a rock or something has come up and hit right in the center, or sort of the left center of the windshield. That shouldn't harm him too much. Gant finally makes the pass on Darrell Waltrip, but look down on the inside. There's Rusty Wallace. So Morgan apparently chose the wrong route. He should have followed Gant.
Maybe it doesn't work as well down at the bottom of the track.
Well, it could be.
May have a line out there where that car is working. And look at Wallace screaming down the inside in car number 27. Rusty Wallace on the move.
So he makes the pass on Darrell Waltrip. Morgan Shepherd continues to follow him.
For 8th spot.
And look up ahead there, Rusty Wallace moving on the inside of Ernie Irvan. I was looking at him from the outside. Back inside of Morgan Shepherd's car once again. That's the car number 75 of Rick Wilson, not the Ernie Irvan car that I thought it was there a moment ago.
Ernie's up a little further.
Yep, it's the yellow car of Rick Wilson. Well, Rick Wilson drove this car. That is Rick Wilson driving this car now. Rick Wilson used to drive the car number 4. I'll get those yellow cars straightened out in a minute.
Ernie Irvan is in second spot. Schrader lies third. Let's take a look at that interval. Looks like car 17 may be off the pace.
Yeah, I think he is. Darrell Waltrip has dropped off the pace. We saw him there a moment ago making some passes, but then all of a sudden he drops back a little bit, but now seems to be going again. Here's Dale Earnhardt car number 3, running in 4th position.
And right behind him, Mark Martin, as you get a sense of the interval, trying to show you the difference in these cars. There's Michael Waltrip, who is a lap down, and Rusty Wallace, who was in the lead lap.
Jimmy Spencer.
And the 50, and behind him, the 33 of Harry Gant, followed by Morgan Shepherd and Rick Wilson. And Rick has backed up in a fairly dramatic manner from that restart.
Boy, look here at this battle. Alan Kowicki trying to go on the inside of Derek Cope, but he drops back.
And Petty up on the outside, wheels around 3 cars right behind these two. There's Derek Cope on the bottom in the 10 car. And right beside him, number 5, Ricky Rudd, and Richard Petty having a very good run today in car number 43.
Now he pulls up on Ricky Rudd. There's Alan Kowicki in the car number 7, Brett Bodine in the green 26, and here's Terry Labonte in car number 1, Kyle Petty in number 42. Some of these cars we haven't seen much of today. Dave Marcus in car number 71, and there's Jeff Bodine, the red number 11, trying to make his way up through the pack, and you can see how far Darrell Waltrip has dropped back. You know, he was up there about 7th place not too long ago.
He's just in front of Butch Miller in the Travis Carter machine. And there you see Lake Speed's car. If you look a little further back in the field. There's Butch Miller in the 98. There's Lake in car number 83.
Lake made some unscheduled pit stops early, lost some laps, but still out there running.
Let's go to Mike Joy, who was in Darrell Waltrip's pit.
Darrell's drifting back a bit. Jeff Hammond, is he okay?
Mike, I think what happened was he lost an ignition box, so he threw the switch on the dash right there, and the car started running again. But he said also this act like it quit, started missing. So he threw the switch on the dash, and the thing came back to life. I think it's okay. We'll have to wait and see how things go along here.
Yeah, that's pretty good diagnostic work at 160 miles an hour.
You had to change ignitions. Of course, they can do that with a switch. They have an alternate ignition system on all of these cars. There's the leader, Bill Elliott. Pulling away again, Ken.
Yeah, and he had a tremendous lead. He was at 9 seconds before that caution came out. Just running away from the field. And after going through 13 straight races without a victory this season, looks like he's going to turn it around here just like he did a year ago. Now, Schrader in the 25 moves under. Car number 4, Urban, in that struggle for 2nd place.
And he just moved right around him.
Here comes Earnhardt at number 3, filling out that field. Earnhardt running in 4th. Mark Martin currently in 5th.
Who uses Valvoline motor oil?
Earnhardt 4th and Mark Martin 5th. Rounding out the top 10 is national champion Rusty Wallace in 6th. Morgan Shepherd 7th. Harry Gant 8th. Rick Wilson 9th. And the king, Richard Petty, in 10th place. The prize money today is $684,987, with the winner going to get something around $60,000. What won't be paid out, however, is the $45,000 Unocal bonus, because the lineup wasn't done by time trial. It was done by prescription. This means that the brace bonus at the next event, July 7th at Talladega, will total $53,200. The last time it was paid out, it was worth an extra $228,000 to Kyle Petty, who got it earlier this year. Back to you, Ken.
Riding there with Ernie Urban in that 3rd spot. I'd like to collect some of that big money. He had a pole up at Pocono, Pennsylvania a week ago. So I think he won on the tester spring.
Yep, and Jeff Bodine got a little of that big money at Martinsville. He won the pole and the race at Martinsville.
Well, here you see Dick Trickle, who's running back in the 26th, 27th position, a lap down. He is driving about as hurt as he's ever driven. He is all sore down one side, the right side. He didn't break anything, but he bruised his ribs, bruised his hip, bruised his shoulder, and he's just holding on, I would imagine, out there now in the Cale Yarborough car number 66, Buck Williams' team.
Yeah, he wrecked on the last lap at Pocono, Pennsylvania last week. Now, we mentioned earlier that the car sounded like it was running on about 6 or 7 cylinders. It's back up to speed now. During that last caution, they came in and maybe put on some plug wires or did something. But anyway, the Cale Yarborough Motorsports car number 66 is definitely running faster now, but he is 1 lap down.
Battle 2nd and 3rd, and here's your leader, trying to be the 10th different winner thus far this season, with 50 laps remaining in this Michigan 400. Bill Elliott, doing as he did a year ago. A year ago he came in here, he didn't have a win. The big change from a year ago is Waltrip, who had 4 wins coming into this race a year back. This year, he's still looking for that first checkered flag.
Yes, he is, Ken, and he had a real strong run at Bristol and a couple of other tracks, but other than that, he hasn't threatened to win too many times. Just, I don't know what the situation is, just bad luck, I guess, this year.
And so many newcomers. Brett Bodine winning, Derek Cope taking a couple, Kyle Petty winning. Jeff Woodine has a victory this year. Mark Martin has a victory. Somewhat different look to the Winston Cup champions table at this time of the season than we saw a year back.
Of course, we saw the serial on the car number 4 of Ernie Irvan moved up through the field pretty good. Let's go to the pits and Dave Despink.
You know, if Bill Elliott wins this race today, the point lead is going to change. Not the point lead for the $1 million Winston Cup championship, but the race for the manufacturer's championship. Ford has never won it. It's been around since the beginning of the modern era in Winston Cup racing. They trailed Chevrolet coming into this race by just 2 points. And the difference from first to second in that point table is 3. So if Elliott wins, Ford leads the standings. Now, how did Chevy react to the fact that Ford had gotten that close over the last couple of weeks? Well, they went out and bought themselves another race team. As of August, the team of Ernie Irvan will be Chevrolet mounted. They'll take the Oldsmobile sheet metal off that car, and they'll put him in a Chevrolet. Tony Glover, quickly, you said you needed to get to the front by halfway. Elliott's got that spot locked. Can you make your car any better?
Well, right now we're still a little tight. We've worked on the Kodak film Delco Remy Oldsmobile all day long trying to get it, you know, where to be more suitable to him. I'd like to be able to adjust it one more time, and I think we can maybe give Bill a run for his money, but right now he's pretty awesome.
That's a team that has not given up on a chance of catching that Ford up front. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Dave, the sport of auto racing has contributed many advances to highway safety. Disc brakes, side guard door beams, to name a couple. Here's another one that comes out of racing to make the highway safer for you. Across the nation, police officers are mounting camcorders in their cruisers to help in the gathering of physical evidence. CBS Sports pioneered the full-motion race cam in the U.S. in NASCAR races a decade ago. Law enforcement officials have seized on the idea and adapted it for their own use.
Your driver's license, registration, insurance.
Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of police use of audio and videotaped evidence to establish physical condition in cases of driving under the influence. Other police use of the cruiser cam include cases of speeding and reckless driving. Believe me, you don't want to be the star of this video.
Okay, Rick, give me an ambulance down here.
That was not stunt footage. That came from the dashboard of a Georgia State Patrol cruiser. And it's a good reminder for us all to be careful out there. Ken?
Thank you, Mike. Here is Bill Elliott in the 9 car. The seatbelt firmly cinched up and a good grip on first place in the Michigan 400. In second, Ernie Irvan in third, Dale Earnhardt fourth, Mark Martin in fifth. All of these in the lead lap. Rusty Wallace has found himself to sixth, Morgan Shepherd seventh. Gant, Wilson, Kowicki having a good run, stays up in 10th. And here's the interesting one, 11th and 12th. Kyle and Richard are at it out here in cars 42 and 43 respectively. They're having their own little war. There's Kyle leading his dad, and Richard is having one of his best days of 1990 right now, working the kid over, Ned.
Yes, he is. He has run a very good race. Has stayed in the lead lap all day long. Currently running there in the
11th and 12th.
11th and 12th, as we see the son and the father racing there, and it's really good to see him running in the lead lap this late in the race, and that near to the top 10.
Richard closing in one more time on Kyle. In front of them is Rick Wilson, 75. There you see Dave Marcus, is 71, who is a lap down to those two. Dave Marcus, who's been here for every race at Michigan. Car number 71.
In fact, Richard Petty and Dave Marcus are the only 2 drivers who have competed in every event here since this Michigan International Speedway was open.
Mike Joy, you have a thought?
Ken, last year at this race, Richard Petty climbed his way up to 6th spot behind Ricky Rudd. And when he passed Rudd and moved into 5th, that's the last position that shows up on the scoreboard. And when the folks here saw 43 go up on the board, the whole grandstand rose in unison. Petty says he explains that popularity by saying, I may not be everybody's favorite driver, but I'm kind of like an Arnold Palmer. If their favorite can't win, they like to see Richard Petty do good. Sadly, about 2 minutes after his number went up on the leaderboard, Petty's day ended as he coasted into the garage, but having a much better run here today.
He certainly is. This could be a great day for Richard, and there's time enough to pick up. Now you see the number 5 car, time enough to pick up a couple more spots. Ricky Rudd in the 5, and he's trying to help the Hendrick team finally win a race this year. I mean, they're like 0 for 40 plus at this point, and that's the Waddell Wilson car. It's just not working out well. But right behind them is Derek Cope in car number 10. He's running 14th overall in the field, and of course they're using Hendrick engines.
And right behind Derek is Jeff Bodine, who's trying to fight his way back up through the pack after that extended pit stop during the caution period. And it is surprising that none of the Hendrick cars have been able to win so far this year. They have some of the best talent in the business, but the brakes just haven't come their way. Ricky Rudd has won a couple of poles so far for the Waddell Wilson team, but not races.
There you see 57, Jimmy Spencer at work out there. He has gone a lap down. The man right behind is the 84 Winston Cup champion, Terry Labonte in car number 1.
Had a good run at Daytona, finished second first year with this team, the Richard Jackson team.
And there you see Bodine, who won at North Wilkesboro, his first career victory.
He's having a good run, still in the lead.
He has his own signature hats now. I mean, those Bodine kids are incredible. You know, they started the 900 number. Now they've gone in the hat business.
All right, here's Darrell Waltrip, who had slipped back after the ignition went away on his car and is switched on the alternate ignition system.
18th right now, Ned.
And then we see Bill Venturini in the blue and white car, and right behind him, oh, I beg your pardon, that's Phil Parsons in the Carolyn and Gary Bechtel car. Car number 29, the first time they have raced this car. Plan to run maybe 6 or 7 more races this year. And right behind him, the car number 98, Butch Miller from Michigan.
Travis Carter prepared machine, hometowner there, more or less. And next you see the leading rookie, Robbie Moroso, in car number 20. Continuing with the hopes of his father, Dick Moroso, in that car to come up through the field. Elliott has stretched his lead again. He's back to 3 7/10 of a second over the rest of the field, and the rest of the field now is Schrader in second, Urban in third, and Dale Earnhardt in fourth.
Well, the race record was just over 153, and now he's averaging 152, so that record is, or the average is creeping back up there, even though we had that long caution period there.
So they may get a shot at the record. Here's Lake Speed on pit road in car number 83.
Lake has had his problems today. Just had a newborn a few weeks ago. He had 2 girls and now has a little boy added to the family.
As you watch the 4-tire change going on for Lake Speed, sounds like one looks like one equalized out there. They're not sure if they're going to change all 4 and get him back out here. Meanwhile, as you watch these cars on the track, compare for us, Ned. Do you think there's more respect on the track now among the drivers than when you raced, or less?
I think there's less.
Really?
Yes, I do. Although, you know, we like to consider all these fellows gentlemen, but I think when they get in tight quarters, that they are more subject to drive on into a corner and rub someone or move them out of the way than they were back in our day.
Weatherly and Curtis Turner and Junior Johnson, I mean, they didn't give you much room, did they?
No, they didn't. Huh? But you were racing under different circumstances. On the big tracks, they would give you a little more room. But on the dirt tracks and the short asphalts that we raced on back in those days, yeah, they would put the fender to you and maybe move you out of the way. But today, the competition is so still that every driver wants to gain every position they possibly can, and they hear talk of driving aggressive and how Earnhardt gets all the publicity because he drives aggressive, and so they try to do the same thing. And some of them aren't capable, and some of them don't have the car to do it, but yet they stick that nose in there. And you see more tire marks on the side of these cars on super speedways today than ever.
A little while ago, Dave was talking about championships. Didn't Ford win a championship back in '69, back in the days of Leroy?
Yes, they did. Yeah. They did win the manufacturing championship back in 1969.
Coming down pit road is Rusty Wallace in the car number 27. As you take a look at the standings for all of the field for you racing fans, Rusty Wallace is on pit road in car number 27.
This should be his last pit stop of the day, and they're going to the left side. Let's go to the pits and Mike Joy.
Left side tires for Rusty team manager Harold Elliott, talking to him on the radio. A little quick miscue getting that left front fitted, and well, now they're going around to the right, and Ed, I haven't seen this strategy. Usually you get those right side tires first, but that right front tire, Rusty reports, is blistering, and we see a lot of heat coming off the left front brake. Now they've got him done, and a very fast run out of the way as Rusty gets gone.
Well, Mike, that was a very good pit stop to do it the way they did it. A little over 24 seconds was a very good pit stop, but I'm like you. I've never seen them go to the left side first on an oval track. Of course, on the road courses where they go clockwise, well, you see them do that occasionally, but I believe that was a miscue. I think they only intended to change the left side tires, and I guess Rusty told them that there was a problem on the right side, so they had to go around and do it before they did it in quick order.
And Wallace had been falling backwards before that stop. Pope had gone by him, Bodine had gone by him, Richard Petty had picked him up as well.
So he has gone a lap down now.
Chris Economaki?
Well, this race is being run on bias fly tires. All of the cars on Goodyear bias fly tires. And it's one of the last races that we're going to see on bias fly tires. The radials have been brought into the series. Many of the races have already held on radial tires, and they feel that this may be the last of the races here at MIS, or perhaps the August one, that'll be on bias fly tires. You mentioned the tire blistering up there. The whole situation will change when the radials come into full play.
Well, let's go back to the pits and Mike Joy.
Well, Jimmy Makar is setting up the tires for Rusty now after that stop. Jimmy, that's a little strange. You change the left and then you come back for the right.
I can't hear you.
So you change the left, then come back for the rights. Who noticed the blistered tire?
Well, we had Harold go over on the other side to see. What happened was Rusty said the car started pushing real bad. He didn't know if he had a left tire going flat or not. So when we come in, we changed the left, had Harold go look at the right, see if anything was wrong with those, and he found the blister tire.
You just about got run over when Rusty took off there. That was close.
Pardon?
Say close to you getting run over when Rusty took off there.
Oh, that's not even close.
It sure looked close from here.
I tell you, those guys are the all-stars. That all-star pit crew organization that they do at the end of the year that Johnny Hayes put together, those guys deserve every bit of credit they can possibly get.
They really do. They're war horses, and I'll tell you, they're on the firing line so many times every day on Sunday when these cars are out here racing. There we see Rusty Wallace. He is a lap down now.
Caution out. Yellow is coming on the track. Boy,
wow.
That's what you call for good. That's just plain lucky. Oil in turn one, we're being told.
Well, Bill Elliott coming up on Bobby Hillin, and apparently he's not going to put Bobby another lap down. He's just going to back off and let Bobby come on around. And so that'll be a break for Bobby Hillin, but a tough break for Rusty Wallace, who just came in for a green flag pit stop. And here is the car number 91 of Edward Cooper. He had been in the garage area for a long time and came back out into the race, a local driver who lives just a few miles from the racetrack here. Apparently the engine let go in his car.
Coming down 170 laps in this race. 170 complete, 30 to go. And this is the caution they needed.
Yeah, this will be the last time that they'll need a stop, Ken, as far as gas is concerned. They'll be able to make it the rest of the way after this stop.
Elliott first, Schrader second, Irvin third, Dale Earnhardt fourth, Mark Martin in fifth, Morgan Shepherd sixth, Gann is in seventh, Rick Wilson eighth, Kowicki ninth, Kyle is 10th, and Richard is in 11th with Derek Pope 12th as the field is picked up by the pace car. And we come into the fourth caution period of the day. If you're just joining us, we've had 9 lead changes among 5 drivers, 4 cautions to date. In the attrition, we've had, check them out here, 11 cars retire from the event from the 40 that started.
Well, we had a long time before many cars went out of the race, but then all of a sudden a good many of them did start dropping by the wayside, and we see now that the green flag is waving at the end of pit road, so that means that they can now legitimately come into the pits, and you can rest assured they will.
See if anybody stays out. To Dave Despain.
As the leader, Bill Elliott, comes on pit road, once again, Mike Beam will be the man under the gun, but this time for a chassis adjustment just above the left rear wheel. He goes in and puts a full round of bite into the car. They go to the right side tires. They will come back to the left side, the traditional yellow flag stop for Bill Elliott for full service, and this is the last time things can go wrong in the pits for Elliott. He's got this race won if nothing blows up in his face. It is clean. Ooh, a little bit of a hang-up on the left front. Now, down and away. It was a long stop. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Mark Martin completes his service as we look at Richard Petting's car also getting 4 tires. And a new little wrinkle here as we work over the wheel. One man on the left side of the car runs around to pick up a tire and hoist it to the position right up on the car. That's something we haven't seen Let's bring up the cash register on this pit stop. If 36 cars each take on 4 tires and a full tank of fuel, that's $24,000 for this round of service. Parts and fluids only, no labor included.
Waltrip on pit road number 17. And there is a director's meeting there.
Evidently, they're looking at that ignition, that he had a problem during the green flag running, so they're checking in there to be sure that the alternate system, I guess, is okay, or maybe it's not okay. But anyway, they're taking advantage of this caution period to check it out. Bill Elliott lost some time on that pit stop. He didn't come back out first. There's a number of cars that beat him down pit road. Once they get out there and get all squared away, we'll tell you exactly how they did as we watch Waltrip's crew finish the work on his car and send him back out. And he is still in the lead lap. But,
leaving 18 cars in the lead lap, Ned.
18 cars. And he will be the last
run for the finish. All right, we'll be back for the run to the finish of this 22nd annual Michigan 400 in a moment. And there you see Goodyear Blimp America. It's giving us some great shots of this 2-mile facility, this Big D. And for another car that might join that attrition list, let's go to Mike Joy.
Well, Ken, Darrell Waltrip's been in and out of the pits here twice on successive laps. They had that ignition problem earlier, and it's been draining down the battery. So now they brought Darrell back in. They were going to tape the connectors better together for better connection. Billy Wilburn, who changes the right front tire, was leaned inside the car. He didn't get all the work done the first time, so he left the roll of duct tape in there. And so Jeff called on the radio, said, well, Darrell, you just finish it up yourself. And he said, with the belts and harnesses, I can't quite reach that. So they had to bring him back in. But hopefully there's enough juice left in that battery for Waltrip to go the distance.
Maybe this is why they couldn't find the duct tape.
Yep, there it goes, out on the racetrack. So, no wonder they couldn't find it when he came back in.
I know it was around here somewhere.
Yeah.
2 miles around here.
Small tower out there rolling around on the track.
Ken Schrader out in front.
Getting one more lap to go.
Where name come from? I thought he was one of the ones that didn't get started.
Yeah.
He wasn't out here at this. Remember, he was one of those 4 that wasn't in there. The guy that's in 16th is Richard Petty. We're getting the report that he is just back of those top pages. But Vogler, didn't he load up and leave last night?
He was one of the 4 drivers that did not get in the field because his entry blank was not sent in early enough.
All right, here we are ready on the start. And remember that Elliott, as they come down the line, fighting his way out of 5th spot, looking for his 33rd victory and in addition to the $9,500,000 he's collected since he began his career in 1976 in Winston Cup.
Now this is perhaps the greatest test that he has had to date, Ken. You know, for the last couple of 100 miles, he has been able to run out front with ease, but now he's got some tough customers up there in front of him.
Schrader in front of the 25. There you see the 3. And now here comes Ernie Irvan busting to the inside. There's Schrader. There's Irvan moving up into the 2nd. The number 30 car, a lap down. Michael Waltrip inside now as Schrader holds the lead in the Rick Hendrick car, trying to win the first event for Hendrick Racing this year. Here is Schrader on the point of that Chevrolet. Down the line they come. They blast underneath us and into the first turn. Now jumping around those cars on the start, you see Rusty Wallace a lap down. He's made up that lap.
Yeah, he's back in front now. If he can get a caution flag and get to go all the way around, it would put him right back in the thick of it.
And number 9, Elliott, is up on the high side in the box behind car number 30, Michael Waltrip. Back straightaway. Schrader is in front. The black car is almost a full lap down. Now here comes Elliott. He works the bottom. Martin coming with him. Terry Labonte on the fade back. Here's number 9 down to the inside on Sterling Marlin. And closing up.
Yeah,
meanwhile, up in front, got a great battle going on. Let's take a look at those leaders as they go into turn number 1.
Ernie Irvan and Dale Earnhardt just went around
bottom of the racetrack.
Bottom of the racetrack and just took over the lead.
So Earnhardt looking for win number 4 this year. Now he's up in front. And Ernie Irvan comes to 2nd spot. What a show he has put on. Headed for turn 3.
You know, the first couple of races that Ernie Irvan ran in Winston Cup competition several years ago, Dale Earnhardt with his Chevrolet dealership in Newton, North Carolina, was the sponsor on that.
That's right. Kept him going because he was just hitchhiking from track to track trying to find a ride.
Now he's trying to hold him off for a win here. gets that first victory, but look at Bill Elliott. Boy, he's coming.
To the bottom of the racetrack. He has sorted out the lap cars. Elliott going to third in car number 9. Schrader backing down. Schrader in trouble in the back straightaway, slowing down.
Yeah, something has happened to his Chevrolet. Too bad. As they battle for the lead up front, as Elliott continues to close in. There's Ken Schrader high on the racetrack. Apparently lost power, trying to wait till the cars go by to get down on the inside and perhaps come into the pits.
Leader, Earnhardt. Second, Urban. Third, Bill Elliott, as Schrader retires.
Boy, what a tough break. To get this close to the end, was up front, leading the race, now headed to the garage area. He makes that left turn, heads wrong into the garage area, out of the race.
19 laps to go this time by. Front 3. Chevrolet, Oldsmobile, Ford, battling here at Michigan. Urban fades high.
Earnhardt using the racetrack. Boy, he's running defense out there at the moment. But that car's running a pretty good offense, too.
How wide can a Chevy be? That wide.
Yeah, he can make it very, very wide. But here comes Urban. He's going to try him down on the inside.
Going to 1. Bottom of the racetrack.
No, won't work.
Tries again. Yep. Coming out of 2. Urban clambering, plowing, pulling back up. Wheel to wheel with Earnhardt. 170 miles an hour, and they're 3 wide in the back straightaway, and it's Elliott. Bill Elliott blasting down the inside. Car number 9 takes the lead.
Boy, what horsepower and what a move by Bill Elliott. Picked up the draft of those 2 cars, made his horsepower work. But look at Urban.
Urban comes back on the inside and puts the Oldsmobile in front of the Ford. Incredible racing.
These fans are going wild in Michigan.
Meanwhile, Mark Martin sits there in 4th, just looking them over. Elliott back in front, Urban in 2nd. Here comes down to the inside, number 3. Dale Earnhardt looking to the bottom of the racetrack.
Now, if he pulls up there, that's going to help Elliott. Elliott will be able to pull away as Earnhardt gets side by side with Urban going down the backstretch into turn 3. Let's see who out drives each other down into turn this time. It'll be Earnhardt, maybe. Urban drove in deep, too. He goes high. Earnhardt stays on the bottom lane. But you can see Elliott's able to pull away, but Earnhardt takes the 2nd position.
They need to get in the train. They need to do it fast. No driver has ever scored his first career win here at Michigan. Can Ernie Urban break the spell? Dave Despain.
You're missing a lot of fun out there, Kenny Schrader. What happened?
Something real important down inside the motor decided to call today and just let it go all of a sudden.
Your bad luck continues. Who's going to win this race? You've run all the guys up front.
Bill's going to have trouble.
Okay, he says Bill Elliott's got him covered up front. Short day for Kenny Schrader. Their bad luck continues. They'll be back. Ken?
Howley has him covered, but he's pulling away one more time. 3, 4 car lengths, and Earnhardt is doing everything he can to contain this man, Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia.
There's Rusty Wallace still up in front of Elliott. Wallace is in the lead lap at the tail end of the lead lap. He's running in the 16th position at the moment.
Remember, we told you at the outside, here comes Urban back to the inside, and number 3, Earnhardt is there to close the door. One man won this race 6 times. Haley Ever, little nudge.
Yeah, they touched, definitely.
And 2 drivers come up with 4 wins. They include the drivers who are out here today. One of them, Bill Elliott, and also with him, the other man that did it 4 times, David Pearson. Let's see how this race is going to wrap itself up. We'll be back with more of CBS Sports coverage of the Michigan 400 after this word from your local station.
The Westchester Country Club, hosting 3 of the most difficult CBS Sports Special. The Michigan 400 is sponsored by Goodyear Eagle Radios, the best-selling performance radios in the world. Valvoline Motor Oil, people who know use Valvoline. And by AC Delco, automotive parts that don't just fit, they match.
Ken Schrader said it. Elliott would have to have trouble. He did. His engine has expired. He has gone back to the garage. Dave Despain is there.
Bill Elliott, it's unbelievable that this race could end the way it did. It's been flat tires up till now a broken engine. Did it give you any sign this was coming?
I can't hear you.
Did it give you any hint, Phil, that it was coming, or did it just go bang?
No, after that last restart, it felt like it was vibrating just a little bit, and oil pressure came down a little bit, and I didn't think it was going to last the race.
You had a hint then. Did it give you, do you think that this was in any way related to the oil leak that you were having earlier, or are they unrelated?
I don't think it's related. You know, if there's something that happened, you know, the car ran good all day long, and this is just as our luck all year.
That's the way it's been going, buddy. Listen, he'll be back as well, but a disaster. What can you say for Bill Elliott? 11 flat tires in 3 races, and now a blown engine. Here's the way it looked. Ken?
Take a look at the end of the day for Bill Elliott in car number 9 as the battle heats up for the lead. Just down across the start-finish line, and it was good night.
Headed into turn 1. He got it down out of the racing groove, and of course no caution flag. Pulled her into the garage area. See him making that hard left turn. Out of the race.
Not to win this Michigan 400 for a 5th time.
But maybe a new fellow will win it. Ernie Irvan.
It's never been done. Here he is, car number 4. This is the newcomer, Ernie Irvan, knocking on the door.
No driver, as you said a moment ago, has ever won his first race here at the Michigan International Speedway, but he is strong.
There you see Earnhardt trying to take it away. The man in black closing right up in there. Oldsmobile in front. Chevrolet now running in second as they come back to the line. Ford in third and fourth. And Terry Labonte in fifth. This is everything we talked about at the beginning of this program. This is a race of surprises, a track of subtleties. We talked about Tony Glover said this guy in number 4 he thinks is the best solid new talent since Tim Richmond, and look at him. Final moments on a track which is a driver's track, holding the advantage 3-4 car lengths. But here comes the master. Earnhardt closing another time. There's a driver's driver if there ever was one.
He certainly is, and one of the greatest intimidators that there is in the sport. But can he intimidate Ernie Irvan? Irvan passed him a few laps ago just after Elliott went out, and they're still chasing Rusty Wallace up there, who is at the tail end of the lead lap, but has not been able to get a caution to take advantage of it. Here's a smoker.
It's just rolling off the right side of the car.
Yeah, evidently it was tire smoke as he came out of the turn. I thought for a moment that he might be having some trouble. Of course, that was Dale Earnhardt's car.
Less than 10 to go. Earnhardt just down on the inside, scuffing the rubber off those tires as he tries to close up. Take a look at that leaderboard one more time. Through 190 of 200. Irvan, Earnhardt, Martin, Bodine, Labonte up in the front 5. Thinking, look a little further back, Dan Kulwicki, Ricky Rudd, Richard Petty, and Kyle Petty. Richard's back up there at a 9th spot. Notice how well he's doing today. Richard Petty, last top 10 finish, August of 1988 at Bristol, Tennessee, when he finished 8th. To Mike Joy.
How about it, Richard Childress? Does your driver, Dale Earnhardt, have enough to get back past Ernie Irvan?
Well, we just have to see. You know, it looks like Ernie's pulling him right down here at the end of the straightaway. You know, Dale hadn't said anything since it started. We've been a little tight all day, so we'll just have to wait and see.
The word along pit road is that Irvan has the handling, but Mark Martin is the big man in the horsepower department in this battle. Here's Dave Despain.
Same question to Ernie Irvan's crew chief. Can you whip Dale Earnhardt here today? Can you beat Dale Earnhardt today?
It's going to be awful hard, but Ernie's doing a good job. We're going to give it our best shot.
If he beats Earnhardt, he's beat the best in the business, huh?
Well, they say if you win, you want to beat the best. So if we win, I hope Earnhardt runs second.
They are old friends, by the way, Earnhardt and Irvan. And Ernie got a lot of advice and help from Dale as he was coming up through the ranks. Now they're going to go out and battle to see if Ernie can win his first race at Dale's expense.
And try to be the 10th different winner this season. Earnhardt trying to nip away on the inside and take it from him. Battling back to the line.
Well, Earnhardt is an intimidator, and if Ernie Irvan can sustain that and go on and win this race, he will establish himself as a top Winston Cup driver.
To the inside goes car number 3. You're watching it live on CBS, the Michigan 400. Here comes Dale Earnhardt. Great Winston Cup champion fighting with this youngster. He has him on the outside, and the black number 3 rolls down.
Now
he's coming back.
Outbrake who going into the turn? They don't really use that many brakes, but out accelerate. I should have said Irvan goes high. Earnhardt stays low. Irvin should have the momentum coming off the turn. Look at this side-by-side battle for third and fourth.
Getting down for a decision. Earnhardt nips it down into turn number 1, holds it low. And on this racetrack so wide, you can pass anywhere. Gotta be so careful how you use the throttle. Right there.
Yep, you gotta get the car turned so that you can accelerate off the next turn. Earnhardt's car accelerating very well on the low side of the racetrack, because most of the time that car on the outside has the momentum, just like Mark Martin there has the momentum coming off the turn, was able to pull away from Jeff Bodine.
Battle for third. Battle for the lead continues. On the outside, Ernie Irvan, who came out of California from Mark Martin's car. Watch this battle. Now here's Irvan trying to come to the inside. Beautiful move. Didn't quite get through there. Back they come to the stripe. 5-lap indicator on the field.
This is going to be one tremendous finish, I believe.
4-lap indicator on the field. 4 to go. Car length advantage to Earnhardt. Less than 8 miles remaining. Irvan closes again. And here comes Martin in car number 6. Chevy Olds Ford. 1, 2, 3. 3 to go this time by from Mark Martin's vantage.
His car was very strong at the start of the race. He has been running in the top 10 ever since, but has not been a major threat for the lead. We're talking about Mark Martin, but Jeff Bodine, you can't count him out in the car number 11 trying to come up on the outside of Mark Martin. So you have 4 very good, strong race cars here.
For the lead. Earnhardt into 3, and Ernie Irvan closes in again.
Ernie sizing him up. Decides he might want to try on the outside. He's not going to do that. He's just making Earnhardt think he's going to pass up there.
Mark Martin's view another time. Down to 2 to go.
Now he makes the move.
Down to the inside goes Ernie Irvan.
But Earnhardt is there. Closes the door going into the turn.
Dale Earnhardt trying to add to $10,500,000 for this one. Oh,
now,
really use that track.
Here's the spoiler. Mark Martin came up there, and then here's another spoiler. Jeff Bodine took advantage of the little slip by Mark Martin. Now they've left Irvan as long as they're back there battling with each other. But either of those cars could spoil the efforts of Ernie Irvan.
Earnhardt going for win 43. Ernie Irvan will win number 1. It's down to this. White flag is out. Last lap, 4 cars under the flag. Going into turn number 1. Ernie Irvan peels off, tries to move below number 3. Right there is Dale Earnhardt. Trying to win this race for the second time.
Earnhardt's car is strong coming off of the low grooves, drifting up into the turn, so he'll drive her low going into turn 3.
Final turns, final lap. This is it. $680,000 at stake. The Michigan 400. Earnhardt in front with that Chevrolet. The Oldsmobile in second. 2 Fords right behind them coming to the flag. Checkers about to be extended. And this Michigan 400 belongs to Dale Earnhardt. His second win in this great event.
He's tough.
He is tough, and so is Ernie Irvan.
Ernie drove a tremendous race here today. He doesn't need to drop his head. He don't need to hang his head, Shane. He's driven a great race. His best Winston Cup finish ever.
He was almost set to go back to California, and it was Dale Earnhardt who gave him another shot. Gave him a little sponsorship, a little assist, and kept him in racing back here. And today Earnhardt had to fight him right to the finish.
Boy, he really did, tooth and nail. And this is a shot for this crew, too, Ken. They have gone 4 races in a row not finishing in the top 10. And to come back and win again, boy, they needed it.
The 4th win of 1990 for Dale Earnhardt. It happens at Michigan on this 2-mile track in the 22nd running of the Michigan 400.
But the shouting, and it's quiet at the Michigan International Speedway except for the cheers of the crowd. And the crowd is around Dale Earnhardt's winning car. With him is Mike Joy.
A big handshake for Jim Perkins, the head of Chevrolet. Here's Teresa and Taylor Nicole.
Happy birthday, Archie.
Archie Long from their sponsor, GM Parts. Boy, what a day, and that's not an easy win, is it?
Well, it was a tough one. Bill looked like he had us covered. We adjusted on the car the last 2 stops. The last one helped it a lot and able us to run with Ernie and the guys. So we just kept racing him. I kept working him behind there, and I started seeing where I could beat him at. And once I could get by him, I just sort of kept beating him in those places. And Bo down in the 6 car got to racing each other, and that took it away from them, too. So, you know, it was a great race for Jim Goodwin and Chevrolet Lumina. I'm telling you, it's super.
How tough is it for a championship race driver to look out that windshield and see that red car just kind of rolling away from you, and not a whole lot at that moment you can do about it?
Well, there wasn't much we could do about that. Course forward was going on, but you know, you got to be there all day. That's been my problem for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and you know, we're here today. We was here at the end.
Okay, great win. Congratulations, Dale.
Thank you. I'd like to say hi to everybody back home, my kids, Kelly and you, Max, and everybody. You know.
Well, the only fellow who may be happier than the winner is the man who finished second. Let's meet him.
Well, he doesn't have as big a smile on his face as the winner, but I don't think he feels too bad. Ernie Irvan, first of all, great run. Was there anything you could have done to beat Dale Earnhardt today?
Well, if I could have, I probably would have, but I guess I could have took him out, but, you know, that's not racing, and we raced real hard and real clean, and we just wound up a little bit short, but there's a lot more races left in this year.
You keep edging up that ladder, too. That car in particular, they tell me, has run top 5 every time it's been on the racetrack. You keep edging closer and closer. And with a 5-year deal with this team, you got to feel like you're on top of the world.
I tell you, you know, it was a dream come true when I got this deal with the Kodak Films, Delco Remy Oldsmobile, but I tell you, you know, we got everything, you know, to come better, and everybody else is just trying to repeat what they've been doing. So as long as we keep doing what we're doing and get good pit stops, and Tony Glover keeps giving me a car like I got, we're going to win some races.
In January of 1990, you didn't have a ride, didn't have a deal for the season, didn't know what you were going to be doing. Here you are in Michigan, just inches short of victory circle. Things have really turned around for you. Are you surprised that it's happened the way it has?
Well, I was surprised, you know, ended up with no ride towards the end of the year and start in January, but things have come out real good, and just proves to show that if you keep trying and trying hard, things will come your way.
Congratulations to Ernie Irvan, second place today. Let's go to Ken Squire.
Well, let's take a look at the final standings today. Dale Earnhardt comes home victorious in this great war to the finish line with young Ernie Irvan from California. Jeff Bodine gets third. Mark Martin comes home fourth. The winner came across at an average speed of 150.219 miles per hour, not a new record. Taking a look a little further back in the field, Alan Kowicki with his best finish of the season comes home sixth. Terry Labonte, and how about Kyle Petty? Great finish for him, followed by Ricky Rudd and Rick Wilson. Taking a look at the second 10 here, 6th through 10th. Rick Wilson into the 10th position, and Richard Petty has his best finish of 1990 with an 11th place finish. So stay with us. We're going to have bonus coverage of the Buick Classic on this great afternoon on here on CBS.